Greetings, B-movie aficionados.
Hello, welcome to a couple of flicks. I'm Tristan.
I am Nick.
And I'm Zach.
Yeah, and this is a very family-friendly episode, surprisingly. Yeah, so we'll see how this goes. But
Yeah.
I'm certainly curious to hear your opinion.
Yeah, it'll be funny.
But yeah, before we get started, though, have either of you guys watched anything recently that you might be interested in speaking about?
Go ahead, Nick.
All right. I got. What was it? I know I had one. The New Mutants.
Oh yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
I saw that one. I mean, I wanted to see it back way back when it was like announced, and I mean, I guess it was coming out in 2018 was the supposed one, and it kept getting pushed back due to various reasons and whatnot. And it eventually came out like short.
Yeah, which is usually a bad sign.
Yeah, short release around, the start of COVID, and then like eventually just, straight to streaming. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, no.
Right.
So, I mean, I love the X-Men, that's my favorite comic book universe. And it's hard to defend some of them, of course, but I love them all. Except for Wolverine Origins.
Yeah. That's my least favorite as well out of all the ones I've seen.
Yeah, but I mean, this one was a different take on it. It was, the idea was supposed to be horror, I guess. I don't know much about the comic or anything, but you could tell that, I mean, from all the delays and everything, there's definitely probably some studio interference, I'm assuming, because a lot of it's felt real dumbed down, and I could see the idea was there, and it could have been a cool little horror film in the X-Men universe, little one-off if it need be. But studio interference, it felt like a lot of it was like talking down to the audience, and then it of course ended in a giant CG battle. So but the idea was cool.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Typically when a movie comes across as like really unintelligent, it usually has to do with studio interference, because a lot of times like the executives they'll get like kind of nervous about the idea of their audience might not being able to understand the film, and so then they'll end up trying to like fix it or alter it in some way to make it more like easy to understand, but oftentimes it ends up kind of making it just seem really dumb, like
For sure. And I definitely think that was the issue with this one.
Yeah.
Just due to like even just the background stuff that happened to it and got pushed back so much. So
wasn't it it was one of those movies that got delayed like a million times, so that's usually a bad sign.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what were you saying, Zach?
I was gonna say I've just heard overwhelmingly negative reviews about it.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
I just ordered it, so I'll watch it when it comes in.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, I guess it's not. I wouldn't say it's like horrible, but it's skippable for sure. Like, it's kind of a thing. You can guess everything that's coming up. And it's just like generic, real generic with an interesting idea, but.
I'll more than likely see it before I see Dark Phoenix, so which I know is probably not good. I should probably just watch them in order, but
I do want to see that one anyway. But yeah, it's just because I'm an X-Men fan.
I did see that. It's not as bad as people say, but it's still bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just one of those ideas that just seemed kind of poor from like square one, just like couldn't really imagine it really panning out, only because like they didn't make it, like they didn't have very long to make it. The circumstances weren't exactly good. It was sort of during that time period, that awkward time period where Fox was making that switch over to Disney, and it just, I don't know, I couldn't really quite bring myself to get enthusiastic about Dark Phoenix. I'll watch it
Yeah.
one day more than likely, but
I
it's
mean,
just
I
a
think
little
that's
hard to motivate myself.
I think that switch also is why, this one got messed up as well, I'm assuming too.
Yeah.
And so wasn't the other Game of Thrones girl in it for Jean Grey? Sylvie?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's funny because in the New Mutants, Macy Williams or whatever, Arya is in it. So
Yeah.
both in the X-Men universe.
I'm trying to do some comb overs, not tie-ins or crossovers, but comb overs.
They're apparently like best friends in real life. So
Ah, okay, excellent.
yeah, there you go. A bit of trivia for you.
Let's see. I watched My Octopus Teacher for like the fourth time. That's like the only thing I watched other than these movies.
I still haven't seen that, so no spoiler. I mean, I know the
Oh,
gist of it, but I really
yeah,
I really
I
need
won't
to see it.
spoil it, but it's a beautiful experience. So
Yeah.
yeah, so,
Scrolling
I had to show
Netflix
it to other
today and I
people.
saw that.
Hmm?
I was scrolling Netflix today and I saw that. Almost watched
Yeah.
it.
It's good. It just reminds you of like how alien planet Earth actually really is. Like particularly when you get into the ocean, it's like a whole other dimension.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it's recommended. I loved it. So
Nice.
Yeah, like we're trying to get to space, yet there's Earth, or I mean water right there, the ocean right there.
I know, and it's so
Right.
untapped. It's so unexplored. I just
Right in people's backyard.
pretty much, yeah. So it's only about like what 2-3 hours away from where I live. So I mean, like, what's my excuse? Why don't I explore that shit?
Go for it.
Oh god, I just cussed. That means it's no longer a family-friendly episode.
Oh shit.
God damn it.
Fuck.
Anyway, did you watch anything, Zach?
I've been watching a few Japanese films. I watched Sukiyaki Western Django.
Cool.
That was really good.
Is it the same story as Django Unchained? I've heard of that movie.
Not necessarily. There's
The Django character is sort of one that's kind of existed in a couple different sort of forms. So
Yeah,
like
I've heard that, yeah.
it's one of those like names that can sort of be like what do you call it? It's almost like I mean, maybe this is not a very good like comparison, but like the Emmanuel series, which I mean, I know that that's kind of like softcore, but like there's like a million movies that have that title, even though like it's supposed to be one person. So I guess it's like one of those people that just, it's like somebody who doesn't really have any sort of concrete personality, but is more of just a legend. And the legend of this name exists in various forms and incarnations, some of which, differ greatly from others.
Like
Those
Sherlock?
kinds of things. So,
yeah.
well, except Sherlock a little bit more specific, just a little bit more.
Sherlock's a bit more specific, of course, yeah.
Yeah. So my cat just, kicked down my door. So I apologize if he ends up meowing into the microphone.
No
It's all
worries.
good. Special guest host.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it happens, it happens. Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. So. All right, cool. And so you watched, and so yeah, and that was by
Kashe
who was that
Miike.
directed by? Yeah, Miike. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
He's usually pretty reliable. I mean, he's got such a wide palette. It's just so diverse of just
Oh, yeah.
every different kind of movie. He's even made family movies before, you know. So he pretty much just makes whatever the heck he feels like making.
Yeah.
And so I guess this would be consistent with his filmography since it's so radically different from everything else he does.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be English spoken either, which
Yeah,
is really weird, but
yeah.
still a fun touch. And
Mm.
also there's a ton of references to the Franco Nero Django too.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, I haven't seen all of I haven't seen all of the like Nero film. I actually haven't even seen most of it. You know, I've seen like the most notorious ones, but that's it. Um, so, but I have no doubt that like I mean, usually he's pretty reliable when it comes to like paying homage to specific genres and genre sensibilities and stuff. I mean, he's definitely like he's one of those filmmakers who's really into the like the auteur type aspect. He's into just doing like pretty much as he can whenever he can, regardless of like what the movie is. But to piggyback off of the English speaking thing, I think part of the issue, like part of the reason some of his films are in English is because some of the Japanese actors he gets for his movies, like they don't actually speak Japanese all that well. Like some of them are actually like technically like American raised, but still consider themselves Japanese actors, but don't speak Japanese very well, which is why like sometimes his movies will have like crossovers where the characters will switch back and forth between Japanese and English.
Yeah.
And it's only because he works with like such a like widely diverse amount of actors that's really ultimately what it comes down to. So he's even made movies in China and like in other places before. Actually, one of the best movies I've seen was called the Bird People of China, and it was directed by him, and it took me like 2 years to realize that, like, or not 2 years, but like, you know, a lot longer than it would have ordinarily. So for a movie that good, I was like, wow. Takashi Miike, all right.
Never heard of him.
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna watch any of his movies, I would not recommend starting with Visitor Q. Don't start with that one.
I haven't seen that one in a while.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. I would start with I'd probably start with 13 Assassins. That one's pretty pretty accessible. Like, did you ever see Seven Samurai?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean,
Okay, it's
not
pretty
of
much
course,
like
but
yeah, it's basically the same movie, only like more modern. You know,
wasn't that
plus
Keanu
it's
Reeves one
13.
supposed to be like that too, but with monsters?
I think so, but I didn't see that one. So,
No.
anyway. All right. So, anything else? Or you guys want to get started?
No, that's it.
I can get
Cool.
started.
All right. So the first film that we chose for this episode was your choice, Zach, which was?
My choice is Santa with Muscles.
Yeah.
Starring Hulk Hogan. Yeah, we're coming up on December. Well, it'll be December when this gets released anyway, so I don't need to explain that.
Yeah, happy December, everybody.
Yeah. All right, so Santa with Muscles stars Hulk Hogan as Blake Thorne, who is a conceited self-made millionaire who sells bodybuilding supplements.
He's like a mascot for good health, you know, just like eat your vitamins, kids type of person.
And he's, what's that?
I mean, I wasn't really sure what that's one question I had. It was like, well, I mean, I'm sure it was explained, but I was like, I don't, maybe I skipped it over, but like, what was his actual like background? Because he knew like how to fight and shit too, and I understood he was selling all that body stuff and whatnot. So just wasn't sure where his whole origin was. Like, was he a military guy coming in and then did
he
that?
was very like he was pro fitness, pro health, pro protein shake type of person who was all about like maintaining one's physique and all that. Like basically picture Hulk Hogan the wrestler, only imagine him not being a wrestler but being like a politician slash serial icon, I guess. Like basically Hulk Hogan, only not a wrestler.
Yeah. I mean, he was pretty bro-like too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and also like so he was Hulk Hogan, only not a wrestler, and he was a douchebag.
Oh yeah.
So, anyway, but no, proceed.
Yeah, we start out with him in his big ass mansion, or there was something before that, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, there was like some kind of like scenario.
Yeah, then he like set up with his workers. It's like he came in and beat him up, but it was a fake set.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a training match and
Yeah, and they were just all
tutorial or something.
yeah, they're all just yelling at him as they approached him.
Yeah, because when it was going down,
one hell of a drill.
Yeah, when it was going down, I was a bit confused. It was like he's beating up all of the workers instead of anything like security related. But then, at the end, it made sense, of course.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Writing.
What? It was a twist. Once you found out what he was actually doing, it's like, oh, okay, all right, never mind. I guess that's okay.
Twist in the first 2 minutes. Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah. So it starts with a banger.
Yeah. And then it gets even better because he goes paintballing with his buddies, which they didn't really do much.
No. And like he loaded his paintball with like 7 paintballs, I noticed.
Yeah, movie's in trouble when it has to resort to a paintball match in order to get the plot going. So
yeah, it was definitely family friendly.
Yeah, exactly. Because they couldn't just open it up like Spawn, where a guy gets blown up,
Right.
Which, by the way, just to kind of correct something, I incorrectly said that the creator of Spawn was named Todd McFarlane, but I meant Seth. Oh wait, no. You see, I'm getting it mixed up again. It's because of they're the one syllable names. The person who made Spawn was Todd McFarlane, not Seth MacFarlane. So just wanted to clear that up. Anyway, go on.
I mean, I got who you were talking about at the time. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together then.
Yeah, it's one of the McFarlane people.
Yeah. So after like the 2 seconds of the paintball game, they hop in a Jeep and just go crazy down the road past Clint Howard, who's a cop.
Hey, I was happy to see
here we go.
Something disgusting.
Yeah, Ice Cream Man and then Carnosaur.
Yeah, for a second, actually, in the beginning, there was an ice cream truck. I was like, is he going to be an ice cream man in this one too?
Yeah, I know. Fingers crossed, but to no avail.
Nope, he's a.
When he first popped up, I was like, "Oh no! What are you watching? What are we watching?"
And then you remembered, oh wait, it's got Hulk Hogan in it.
Yeah. Who, by the way, it didn't. When I first saw him, I was like, "Is that Hulk Hogan?" He looked very clean, in good shape, pretty. I don't know, leading man looking at least.
He looked better than he did in Suburban Commando. Like he looked a little bit more like I feel like he was a little bit more comfortable with this role. He didn't feel as like fish out of water, which I know was the point of the original movie, like of Suburban Commando. But like, in this, it seemed like he had like a little bit more of a grasp on like, what his character's motivation was. I guess, like, for lack of a better term.
He honestly wasn't that bad of an actor for her in this movie.
Yeah, I feel like this role suited him pretty well, actually. It almost feels like it was written for him.
Really? I wouldn't have. I mean,
yeah, maybe.
The title implies it, yes, but I could see them doing any type of muscly, good-looking guy.
Trying to
Yeah.
see.
Let's just say that Ernest P. Worrell, I don't think could pull this off. Anyway.
Because just in the sense that they didn't go with the Hulk Hogan in Santa Claus suit, you know.
Yeah, they kind of ditched the Santa suit early on, but
and his
we're
and his
getting
whole
ahead of
act,
ourselves.
you know, and his whole act and everything. But yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, sorry.
That's all good. So he drives past Clint Howard, who somehow thinks that he's a terrorist from driving past him. I didn't get, but okay.
Yeah.
So
I guess Clint Howard is just a very, very paranoid man.
yeah.
yeah, he's one of those paranoid cop guys. Yeah.
So a chase ensues, and they end up at a mall.
It was so I don't understand like why he didn't just pull over.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like it was just a paintball thing, and they would have.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was on like a court, like a dirt bike course of some sort. Or was that later on? I don't know. But just
Something
pull
weird
over.
like
He
that.
may have just gotten a warning, and at most like a ticket that a billionaire could just wipe his ass with. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
But he had his.
I mean, it's
his
possible.
rules.
oh yeah,
Never
rules.
rule whatever. Never surrender.
Never give up. That's right. So he's just being a eccentric billionaire douchebag. Another
It's
layer to his character.
yeah. Well, you know, people who have a lot of money, they get restless, and once in a while, they want to be bad, you know, bad to the bone. So
Right.
maybe it's possible that he was in a mood. You know, Hulk Hogan, the Hulkster, he gets in the zone, gets a little bit tired of having all this money and not knowing what to do with it, so he decides to, you know, act like he's got nothing to lose, even though he's a millionaire.
Yep.
So,
Basically owns
But-
that town.
yeah,
Because it was like a
but-
small little town he was fucking around with.
yeah. However, this time it backfires because
Yes.
Yeah, so they get to the mall, and he just like jumps out of the Jeep and's like, "Here you go," and lets his friend just drive off.
You're right. That was fucking funny. Been playing too much
That was
GTA.
Yeah.
He like just jumped
Yeah,
out
I
and
think
just
so,
ran and
yeah.
hid.
pretty much, like, I mean, it was almost like he'd done it before, you know.
Yeah.
Which again, I was like questioning his background. Like he was going fairly fast and did a nice little duck and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so he does that and runs into a mall, and puts on a Santa costume that he randomly finds, and
Yeah.
somehow Clint Howard and his buddy are walking around in the back trying to find him, and they eventually figure out that it's him, and he hides in a garbage chute while they're right there.
Classic.
Yeah.
Some risky business.
Classic.
Ooh.
Yeah. He eventually falls down and then hits his head on like it looked like a plastic fucking dumpster thing.
It looked like a pretty safe fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
mostly trash bags and I don't know, I guess the edge of a dumpster he hit it on or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. It didn't look like he was going to get hurt from that, which is why I was so shocked about what happened
Yeah,
next.
I was. Yes, continue because next was mind blowing.
Yeah.
I was not expecting.
Yeah, this is the craziest part of the movie right here.
Yeah. This is somehow from his fall he loses his memory, and and a skeezy mall elf comes up and convinces him that he's Santa Claus.
So it's not even just like really loses his memory, like loses like the ability to be a human.
Yeah, he loses his identity basically.
That mall elf like Bernie, like Weekend at Bernie him his way through the whole movie.
Pretty much. Yeah, which is pretty impressive actually.
Yeah.
So,
And then so that mall elf was also figured out that he was who he is, a rich dude, and stole his
yeah,
wallet and is trying to get his money.
Yeah.
basically, yeah. So
But couldn't
like,
because the ATM has a thumbprint thing.
Yeah, he went to like just it looks like a random ATM, but it was equipped with a thumbprint.
yeah, which I mean, I mean, believe it or not, that's even less complicated than what happens these days. But regardless, like that's still sort of strange, like
Yeah.
considering what year this was made. Like,
Yeah.
it's like all right,
Yeah, and there was like a customer behind him too, I think, at one point, and he was
yeah,
like,
who was
"What's
acting
wrong,
like it was totally
man?"
normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe it was meant to like be like a comment on how like rich people have all these luxuries and all these cool like little things that poor people don't have. I guess even though like I feel like I'm not rich, but if I were rich, it would actually be kind of inconvenient, honestly, to have to like scan my fingerprints just to take cash out, because like then I would absolutely have to prove that it was me, and like I don't know, that's a lot of pressure, so I don't know.
I mean,
I kind of just prefer the old-fashioned way.
I feel if you're rich, you just have all your cash in like the bank and just like a few thousand on you, which is just pocket
Yeah,
change in your terms. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think that's what I'd prefer to do. So.
All right. So then the elf convinces him to go like take pictures of the kids and stuff. You get one of those stupid montages of the kids with Santa.
Yeah, basically just like an excuse for kids to act cute for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We've seen it a million times,
Yeah.
especially in Christmas movies.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but it had to happen in this one because this isn't just any Christmas movie. It's a Hulk Hogan Christmas movie. So,
Yeah. And then off in the distance, the charity or whatever money is getting stolen. He goes, beats up the bad guys.
chucks him like 30 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was excellent. Exactly what I want from my Hulk Hogan movies. So it's like, yeah, it's like when I watch a Chuck Norris movie, I just want to see him kick people. But when it comes to Hulk Hogan, I just want to see him perform wrestling moves on people as if life is like wrestling, even though wrestling is not like life. Yeah,
Yeah,
just,
but
that's what I love about these Hulk Hogan movies is that they're just pure fun. They're not about anything else. It's just about like the ridiculous silliness. And that's pretty much all you can ask for when it comes to Hulk Hogan. So.
This one was definitely ridiculous, but he didn't really do any wrestling moves. He just punched people and threw them like a fucking mile.
Yeah, pretty much.
Somehow has superhuman strength.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
one of my notes is he superhuman? Question mark.
Yeah, I know. If he had at least thrown a suplex or two into there, then it would have been interesting. But
You should have at least for the nod to the fan base.
Yeah, just even something simple like that. I mean, if Dennis Rodman can, make basketball puns, while acting alongside Jean-Claude Van Damme and Double Team, no reason why Hulk Hogan can't at least throw in at least one or two WWF, since it was the 90s, references.
Yeah, Shaq did it. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's done it. What's your excuse?
Fucker.
Yeah, goddamn. Anyway. But anyway.
I forgot to mention the skeezy elf guy. I forget his name, but
Yeah, I don't remember either.
he owes money to this Ebner Frost guy with his weird henchman that you get introduced to.
Yeah, I
Oh,
missed
yeah.
that part. I did notice that the weird henchmen were chasing him down the entire time. And he was
Yeah.
trying to deliver, Santa or Hulk Hogan for some. I didn't know why.
I'm gonna just guess like off the top of my head that because considering how skeezy this guy was, I'm gonna guess that they were probably like loan sharks or something like that. Like the the movie doesn't really give you a whole lot to work with, but I'm gonna guess that that's what they were.
They're just
So,
bad guys.
exactly, anonymous, spooky men in hoods and cloaks.
Yep. So yeah, after the whole bad guy fight, the elf was telling them he needs to return the money to the orphanage or whatever, I think. So
Yeah.
then they drive to the orphanage on a moped.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
He was
then the
like,
story
where?
kind of.
Because like
Oh, yeah.
the whole time, I just call him Bob. Bob Pinciotti, because that was the
Basically.
actor from that '70s show. Is that elf? So
Okay.
he was like, he was the whole time he was trying to convince Hulk Hogan that he's Santa Claus because he has amnesia and he's not just amnesia. He's just like kind of brain dead, out of it. Like what?
Yeah.
And then he's like, wait, this guy can actually start believing it. And he's Hulk Hogan's like, well, where's my sleigh if I'm Santa? And he was just like, it's in the shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And wasn't
And
there
then they
like a
hop on.
part where? Oh, what was that?
They said, oh, and then they just hop on the moped.
Yeah. Wasn't there like a part where he was where he where the elf where it's like he was being interviewed on TV because like for some reason the news networks wanted to like do a story about him, and he was being fed the answers by the elf like off screen in like the most
Yeah.
obvious way that any
Yeah.
viewer would have caught, because he
Yep.
was looking away the whole time going, huh? And he was like misspeaking the whole time, and it was like one of those sorts of things, and like yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a little later after he rescued that dude in the road by pulling the chain on the fucking ice cream truck there
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
at the
That was
orphanage.
Yeah.
bananas.
Sorry, yeah, I was getting ahead of the plot again. Whoops.
No, that's all good.
No, we were about there anyway. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's a good little
Yeah.
segue to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
when he fucking pulled like they were
That was
getting
great.
away. They were getting away in a Jeep, and they had a chain on it for some reason. I forget what they were. I don't know. And Hulk Hogan
Yeah.
just grabbed it and yanked it back and fucking like again. Is he superhuman? What?
Yeah.
I guess he's supposed to be like an everyday Renaissance man who just so happens to know how to do everything.
Yeah, I mean they were going at full speed. It wasn't like they were starting out like and
Yeah.
it wasn't moving and they're trying to rev up. No, they were already moving.
Yeah. One day I will be able to do that. Stop a truck like that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I just have to keep taking all my life advice from Hulk Hogan.
Those whatever supplements that guy was selling.
Yeah.
Get me a case.
Yeah.
So then after that, he discovers that the people at the orphanage are being forced out by this Ebner Frost guy.
Yeah.
And this is where it kind of gets hazy for me. There's not.
Yeah, this is pretty much when the movie just turns into almost, it basically like turns into a series of episodes. Like I felt like this film had a good thing going up until this point. It wasn't until like the plot it wasn't until they actually decided to start adding more things to the plot that it started to sort of fall apart like in a big way, because like, you know, at this point it's like, all right, he's dealing with this orphanage and, you know, somebody who wants to steal from them and all this stuff, like, you know, I can do that. But then like after that it's kind of just like a lot of absurdity.
Yeah, I forget how. Yeah, I mean, before we move on real quick, yeah, one of the orphans was Mila Kunis too.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
and this was filmed and released before that '70s show. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
a little bit of wild coincidence right there.
Yeah. You could kind of,
I had no idea.
yeah, and you could kind of tell the English wasn't, that she was still trying to like the English wasn't her like first language. Like it was clear that she knew how to speak it pretty well, but you could also tell that like because she's not, from what I understand, I think she's like from I want to say like the Ukraine or like
Yeah,
somewhere
like
in
one of
Russia or
those,
something like that.
like yeah, Russian
Yeah.
type area.
Yeah.
Country.
And so you could tell like with some of the just her her English, like it wasn't like the greatest, but it was still pretty good. Like
Yeah, I mean, I
yeah.
know a little because I'm a That 70s Show fan, so I know a little bit about it. I know she came in real young and you
Yeah.
know knows both languages, so I'm
Yeah.
sure.
I think she
Like,
actually used to live in, oh, what was that?
I'm sure. I think it was just like an accent thing, like that she
Yeah.
picked up from the house, but she knew and was very fluent by the time she
Yeah.
was, 7 or something, or young. I'm sure.
I think so. I think her family, believe it or not, might have been from Chernobyl, like possibly. Or
Okay.
she might, I might be confusing her with somebody else, but like um I remember reading that somebody's like that either a particular actor or their family like lived in Chernobyl before, you know, obviously before the meltdown. But like, yeah, I'm not 100% positive that it was her, but I'd have to like read about it. But yeah.
Yeah. So the mega,
Anyway,
the now mega star Mia Kunis
yeah,
starts one of her first. I don't know if I don't think it's her first, probably, but like one of her starting feature films,
yeah,
Santa with Muscles.
Yeah.
yeah. The hell of a splash,
Right.
you know, working with Hulk Hogan. It's like you're making the Hulk Hogan money, like from that age, you're good.
Apparently, she didn't even know who he was when she made this either.
Mm,
That makes it even better.
yep.
Yeah.
I mean, she was probably young.
And it also means that her reaction to him was totally genuine, because she came across like she was sort of weirded out by him, and like I thought it
gave
was
him some
because
sass.
yeah, and I thought it might have been because like, oh, that was like the character who she was playing, but now like I'm kind of wondering, oh, if she didn't know who Hulk Hogan was, like maybe it's like she reacted to him like how an ordinary person would have reacted to being like encountered by Dog the Bounty Hunter. You know,
Yeah.
just like, oh god, like
Yeah, I
get away
mean,
from me.
I know she's an act. Like I thought she did really well in this, and like I know she did like acting, like theater and stuff growing up, like because she wanted to real young, and she started
Yeah.
out in commercials and shit. So I bet she gave some
Yeah,
of her actual sass in it, the Jackie Burkhart sass.
I hope so.
Saw
Yeah,
a
because
few little
she,
quips.
yeah, I mean, because she, and there's been a few other actors who, I think Eliza Dushku was another one, like these actors who like aren't technically American, but like they may as well be, you know, because they've like, you know, they were originally from Russia or whatever, but like have managed to really like kind of bring their own sort of attitude to their roles and stuff like that. It's just, it's interesting to kind of like see sort of the early like like the early career of an actor like that. I feel like, especially in something that's sort of silly like this, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we are back. We just had a little bathroom break stop down for a minute after, we talked about Mia Kunis for 20 minutes.
Yeah. So then what happened?
A lot of plot filler after that.
Yeah, pretty
Uh,
much. Yeah.
pretty much just skipped towards the end, I guess, because I don't remember half the shit that happened in that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know
I
the
mean, it was
plot
mostly.
filler either,
I mean,
but
there was like one of the kids had like issues because they were an orphan and they didn't get like any kind like they felt like they were kind of rejected, which is a pretty understandable thing for an orphan
yeah,
to feel, I think. And but then like there were a couple other kids that were like, oh, it's all good, like they were all hunky dory and excited about Christmas or whatever, so it was like
excited
whatever.
about Santa
And
hanging out.
yeah, pretty much. And then meanwhile, like Hulk Hogan had some kind of issue, not with the elf guy, but like with some other dude who, like, it was like the bad guy who ended up kind of doing some domestic terrorism, basically. Like, what was up with that? Like, because he turn out to be like, oh wait, no, that's a twist. Never mind.
I mean, at some point also, it's revealed that they're like on top of this gem mine,
Yeah.
and these gems explode because they're like filled with electricity.
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what they were trying to go with. I'm guessing it was supposed to be some kind of like weapon of some sort, perhaps, or something.
Yeah,
Some kind of
basically,
combustible.
after that was revealed, I put two and two together that the bad guy was after those gems to, I don't know, do bad things.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Which, by the way, I don't think we mentioned is played by Ed Begley Jr.
Yeah. Okay. So that was something. That was what I was trying to remember. It was like, so Ed Bigley Jr. He was. I mean, I would say he was like probably like the head villain. Like he was almost like the Max Shrek sort of figure. Like if you're gonna compare this to something like Batman Returns or something like that. Who like the bad guy behind the bad guys was Ed Begley Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I recognized him, of course, and I just like called him TV man because most of the time he was like in like this fucking TV.
Yeah.
And then like, he like turns out to be like a germaphobe or something like that, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch that.
I was half paying attention ish because I know that at one point he was like, he lysoled down a report his assistant was reading to him. He's like, do you know how much germs paper contain? So he like lysoled that down, and once he starts coming out and greeting up and meeting up with Hulk Hogan, he's in like that suit.
Yeah, that was
So I
not.
just thought he was like some big ass germaphobe or something. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, they were trying to be kind of clever with it, with having like this sort of ominous character be sort of like this entity that nobody can touch because nobody knows where he is. So he sort of uses the power of surveillance to, like be sneaky and do things that he wouldn't ordinarily be able to do. But I don't know. The thing is, it wasn't even really that clever, though. Like, I don't know. It ain't exactly Videodrome. Let's just, leave it at that. I mean, you have to kind of reach high if you're going to actually make a statement about somebody who can only be spoken to through a television. There has to be like more to it other than, oh, he's just an ominous big brother type of figure, because it's kind of been done before. Like
Done to
Inspector
death.
Gadget. Wasn't that like the plot of Inspector Gadget or something like that? Was like some guy who was just basically too lazy to do his own like dirty work, so he just had his henchmen do stuff for him. Like,
Pretty much.
it's
Yeah.
another one of those villains.
Basically how it works in all the movies, yeah.
Yeah, which
To some degree, I mean.
well. Yeah, I mean, I'm not offended by it or anything, but
Yeah,
after
no,
a
just
while, it's kind of like,
real dumb.
be a little more creative at least. Just have a different kind of villain rather than somebody who's like just somewhere else.
Yeah. I guess we'll go to eventually Hulk Hogan gets his memory back by being thrown off a building into a garbage truck.
Woohoo.
Again,
Which I would have thought would have killed him.
yeah. And at the same time, Ed Begley Jr.'s henchmen take the kids hostage at the orphanage
Yeah.
while Hulk Hogan wakes up in his mansion and gets told not to come there somehow. I forget how that happened.
It's
Yeah,
because Bob Pinciotti, the entire movie was trying to just get all the money because he was like, a sleazy kind of just trying to get all of this rich dude's money because he recognized him and everything, and but also still get close to him. And then he had a change of heart and got close to him and just dropped him off like anonymously where he lived. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I guess that's kind of, yeah. All right. Anyway, I mean that's basically what happened. I mean, I feel like there was something else that sort of happened in the middle of all that too, but I don't remember what.
Yeah.
There was a little thing where he was trying to get the fingerprint.
Oh, yeah.
He got it
Yeah.
off a glass at a dinner they had together, and it turned out
Yeah.
to be the wrong hand.
Yeah.
The thing was like, that's the right hand. It's supposed to be the left one.
Yeah. I guess the elf character sort of experiences his own sort of character growth.
Yeah.
Which
Probably the
I was a
most
little
character
surprised by.
growth in the movie.
Yeah, actually, probably the
I
only
mean-
character.
I mean, Hulk Hogan had a pretty good one too. He was, a douchey in for himself kind of rich philanthropist, but he
Yeah.
turned out to want to help those kids when he woke up from his second coma or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second coma.
Yeah, it took a group of orphans to get him to change his ways.
Mhm.
Which is a Christmas tale as old as time, but it's a classic. So
Yeah. So he gets the call from Elf Guy that they're being held hostage there. So he makes his way there with his staff that was attacking him in the beginning to rescue the kids. Some weird action sequences happen.
Yeah, where nobody gets killed. There's like a guy who's like in a giant suit that's like all puffy, and he like gets thrown out a window or something, and the suit deflates, and it's like, oh wow, that was like
Yeah,
real
it's
crazy.
It's all very cartoony.
Yeah, it's kind of just like it's like basically just Hulk Hogan playing Tom and Jerry for 5 minutes.
I mean, on the way there was like another little car chase scene too, where he uses like, I don't know, vegetable oil for an oil slick and some extra protein powder he had in the back of his car for like a dust bomb.
Yeah. They couldn't just leave it as a character trait. They had to actually somehow implement it into the plot.
It was Mario Kart. I was thinking while he was doing it.
Yeah. Of course, he didn't cheat and use a blue shell.
Right? That fucking blue shell.
God, I hate those blue shells. This is like the worst thing.
Yep.
Anyway.
So after they defeat all the henchmen, then you got the showdown with Hulk Hogan and Ed Begley Jr., which they sword fight with these gems down below.
Yeah.
And somehow...
And at this point, I didn't even know what I was watching anymore. I was kind of like, all right, well, I guess it's
I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like,
they're just going to have this happen.
Yeah, it was like a lanky scientist-looking guy type character.
Yeah.
Sword fight against Hulk Hogan. I was like,
Yeah. And you'd assume if he's like a germaphobe, his immune system would be like compromised, so he wouldn't be as strong.
Yeah.
But he held his own somehow.
Yeah. He did pretty well. Yeah. I mean, he knocked Hulk Hogan's sword down the fiery pit.
Yeah.
Kind of like sort of makes you wonder, like, what he would have done if his immune system hadn't been compromised. He kind of probably would have won, and then the movie
Oh,
would have been
definitely.
Yeah.
He had Hulk Hogan on
Yeah.
the ropes.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan kind of lucked out with this one. He wasn't at his top at his best game. Like, yeah, he may as well have been like the Santa with muscles, but
He was
you
still
know, I got
recovering
bad
from his
news.
second coma.
Exactly, and the bad guy in this case had bigger muscles. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, but oh well, he won.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
And then before they fought, the orphanage caretaker revealed that both Hulk Hogan and Ed Begley Jr. were friends at the orphanage years ago,
Oh, yeah.
which they somehow both forgot about.
Yeah,
Yep.
that takes some really crazy serendipity to somehow manage to forget about growing up in the same orphanage. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, I thought they just went to the same school. I missed that thing at the orphanage.
Yeah.
They showed like a picture of him like on a sled or something. It's for trying to be like Citizen Kane or something, which
What the
is
fuck?
like hilarious because it's Santa with
Because
muscles.
then,
Yeah.
how the hell did he get all? How did he get all his money then? I thought he was like in a rich family and just went to and they just went to a school and that's where they met,
He
apparently.
got all that money because he came up with an expert business model, and that business model, granted him luxuries beyond his wildest dreams, which
Out of
is,
the orphanage. Look at
I
him.
mean, yeah, that's yeah.
The American dream.
It really is. We're talking like Horatio Alger level stuff here now. I mean, you can't come up with a better success story than that.
Climbed up
Somebody who starts
poverty.
from 0 and gets 100 by the end of
Yes.
their
There you go.
30s.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Happy Christmas.
Yeah. So yeah, Hulk Hogan saves the day and he takes over. Oh no, the orphanage explodes after that actually.
Oh, that's what it was? An orphanage?
Yeah, it blew up.
Oh, I didn't catch that. I thought for some reason they were fighting in a church. Like I thought like the church was just on top of the mine shaft or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
catch that it was the orphanage.
Yeah. So technically he does save the day, but save the building.
Yeah. And then because Ed Begley Jr. gets arrested, they take over his compound, and that's the new orphanage.
Yeah. Which
That's how it works.
I guess
you
good
know?
enough.
Yeah, which is directly in view of the prison, apparently, as well.
What a view.
I don't know if that's really like the greatest place to put an orphanage, but I guess
Yeah.
that's how it goes.
I didn't even catch that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a telescope just looking out at the fucking prison.
Jesus Christ.
It's like the funniest thing I've ever seen in my whole life.
That applies to just 2 kids in that orphanage, and the rest of them are just like, what the fuck? This one sucks. We're right next to a bunch of fucking murderers.
Yeah. Like God knows how many crazy people live across the street. But, oh well. At least those kids have that compound all to themselves now.
Yeah.
So,
I guess.
And then somehow the orphanage went from 3 kids to like 50 at the end.
yeah. I guess if you do things right, you get more orphans.
Yeah, I guess.
That's the logic of this movie appears to be operating on. I'm not gonna try to question it too much, although I must say I do have questions. So
I mean, I guess, maybe behind the scenes, Rich Boy gave him money. I don't know, to recruit.
oh yeah, I guess that would make sense. Well, it is the holiday.
Using logic to a weird film.
Yeah. Applying Christmas bonuses to a weird film. So,
Yeah.
Yep, that is Santa with muscles.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, so was it everything that you dreamed of?
And more. Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
I mean, it was a typical children's Christmas movie, you know. I
Yeah,
gave it, I gave it
that's
a
about how I would.
2 out of 5.
Yeah, that's about what I would give it. And I would agree with you. It's pretty much a typical type of children's Christmas movie. 2 out of 5. I'd rate this about as harmless as like Christmas Chronicles with Kurt Russell. I mean, that obviously makes a little bit more like sense logically speaking, but like this is kind of similarly dorky. And for the 90s, I guess. I mean, I could think of worse Christmas movies for sure. So,
Yeah.
it was okay.
I mean, okay. I mean, I'll give my take on it. It's a little bit of a hot take. I mean, not really, but it has some spice in it.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
I liked it, yes, as much as one would, but I didn't get like Christmas vibes from it. Like, yeah, it took place during Christmas and everything, but like, I didn't get that warm Christmas feel from it. It wasn't necessarily centered around Christmas themes of besides like the orphanage kind of stuff that's been done in like those Charles Dickens fucking Christmas stories, but like it was like I mean like on a to a lesser extent, how people say Die Hard's their favorite Christmas movie, which I say poo ha ha to them.
Yeah.
I'm like I of course love Die Hard, but I don't think it's fuck anyone that says it's their favorite Christmas movie. Like
Yeah.
I don't because I mean I understand that it takes place during Christmas, but it has almost no Christmas vibes, no Christmas. It just takes place during Christmas. That's about it. And of course, this is a family film, and I can see younger people feeling maybe it's a little more Christmassy for them, but I didn't really get any Christmas vibes other than him being Santa for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would agree with you. I would say this is more of a Christmas movie than Die Hard,
Yes, yep,
personally. But
definitely.
having said that, I would still say, in fact, that's one of the reasons I would only give it a 2 out of 5, because it wasn't really Christmassy enough. It seemed less a celebration of Christmas and more a celebration of Hulk Hogan. Like it seemed it was surprisingly sunny, not snowy like at all. There weren't really a whole lot of Christmas decorations. Pretty much, it was only Christmas in spirit only.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even go that far. Like, I give it a 2 as well, but like, I still didn't really get any Hulk Hogan vibes from him. Again, do say like there was that Christmassy stuff with the orphans and whatnot, but we just felt a little bit more backdroppy.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think the reason I'd say like Hulk Hogan only is because like the character that he plays like outside of the whole Santa persona reminds me so much of like a Hulk Hogan type of character, or the Hulk Hogan type of persona minus the wrestling, that it's just like to me it felt a little bit more of a like a vanity project than something like Suburban Commando, where he's actually attempting to play a character, where he's playing like a like an alien being, which I mean we've all seen the movie, so we all know how good a job he did at doing that. But regardless, in this movie he's not really playing like um as much a character, I guess, is sort of the way I'm feeling. It
yeah,
felt
and that
like, to me, it felt like this felt sort of more centered around him and his sort of physique, I guess, to a certain degree. I mean, even with the title Santa with Muscles, like it's like, okay, I guess this is the
yeah,
Hulk Hogan vehicle. But I see what you're saying though. Like it's not like the whole movie is like fixated on him, 100% of the time, or that it's like centered entirely around him, or that it's like specifically about him going through his various pratfalls or anything like that. Like it's not at the same level of like a Schwarzenegger comedy. But having said that, I still feel like as far as like being like, I guess like an equivalent of that sort of thing, I think that Jingle All the Way works better as a Christmas movie,
yes,
because that
definitely.
has a
It's
little bit
all
more like,
about the
yeah,
Christmas spirit and consumerism and all that Christmas.
exactly. And it comments on the consumerism too, which is something I appreciate. Like but it actually comments on it in an intelligent way, like rather than like saying the same type of thing it usually does, like, oh, consumerism is bad. Like, we're used to seeing that message again and again and again. What Jingle All the Way does is it kind of, takes that idea and finds the humor in it, which I think is a pretty, smart way to approach a Christmas comedy. This movie didn't really do that.
No,
So,
just a fun little romp in a Christmas setting. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, really, it could be
Yeah.
replaced with any holiday, like
Yep.
Easter Bunny with muscles.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Valentine's Day, you get Hulk Hogan dressed up like Cupid shooting arrows. That's what
Cupid
I
with
would have directed.
muscles. Yeah.
Yeah, Cupid with muscles. So, yeah. Only thing he probably wouldn't have done is Halloween, because then it would be like, yeah, it wouldn't be as family friendly. Probably people would be like, oh, pagan spirit. Oh no.
And there's
Yeah.
not, like a mascot that's specific to, except for like a jack-o'-lantern type, thing.
Yeah.
You got so many to choose from.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway. All right. So, yeah.
Also-
any more comments about Santa with Muscles?
Fun fact that used to be on the IMDb Worst 100.
Oh, got booted off eventually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
I mean, I'd say
Well,
it's better than
I would
most
have
of
to
the
say
ones we
that
watched.
it wasn't. I would agree. I would say this one was not as bad as a lot of the films that are on the IMDb bottom 100. I would say this one was probably more of a Pluto Nash. Like not quite deserving. Not exactly good, but like not exactly horrible.
Yeah.
I didn't like Pluto Nash.
I mean, Pluto Nash wasn't good, but it was watchable.
Yeah.
Unlike
Yeah, and
yeah.
not to me. I thought there was too many stupid shit in that one. But this one I could see being entertaining for kids, so definitely watchable. Keeps
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
going, and like probably doesn't
Yeah.
deserve to be down there, but I mean, sure, Pluto Nash probably doesn't either, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, people will hear our opinions of Pluto Nash, but one thing I will say though,
Has that one come out yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
But it
Oops,
will.
spoilers.
Yeah. Spoilers. We talk about Pluto Nash eventually. but one thing I will say about Santa with Muscles though is that I did like this more than Pluto Nash. So. And it seems kind of weird to even compare the two, really. The only reason we're even talking about the two of them in one sentence is because they both happen to be on the bottom 100, at least at one point or another. So
Yeah.
I don't think Pluto Nash is destined to stay there forever, but this movie obviously wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Having said that, guess we're on to my choice?
Yep.
Okay, so I chose this movie Beanstalk.
I wondered why
Which-
you chose it, because watching it, I was like, why did he choose this?
The reason I chose this is because I actually did see this movie when I was a kid. They used to play it on TV, like quite often, actually, believe it or not. In fact, I remember there was a time when they used to play this like more than once a day on like some channel. I don't even know which one. And I know that I saw this film at least a few times growing up. But then I went through a period where I couldn't remember the name.
You couldn't
of it.
remember the name of
And-
Beanstalk.
I couldn't remember the name of it. I looked up Jack and the Beanstalk. I looked up like every variation I could think of, and I couldn't find the title. And so then I thought it was like a fever dream or something like that. Like I had to have dreamt of a movie in which there was a scene in which a fat kid got stuck in a roach motel and started talking about the Odyssey. I thought like that seemed like such a weird idea.
Well, I
That
mean,
it
when
had
were
to
you
have just been a
searching?
dream.
When were you searching for it before? Like, anytime
Well,
recent?
here's where it gets funny
Because that fat kid
so I
is
was-
fairly well known.
Well, the thing is, first of all, I didn't remember that it was the kid from The Big Green, so that was the first issue I had. The second
is he
issue
in
was that,
Sandlot, or is that a different kid?
Yeah,
I think he was also in Sandlot as well. Yeah. but then also secondly, like I was scrolling through the titles on the that are free on the Full Moon channel, and I came across the title Beanstalk, and I was like, wait a minute,
What the fuck?
this wasn't a dream. This is like this is for real. This was real stuff. And so then I was like, oh, I got to do this for the show, so I chose that one. So because I wasn't sure, like I just wanted to like experience it with you guys.
I mean, I'm just more.
You know, just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
I'm just more. You couldn't figure out the name of Beanstalk.
Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't. I knew it wasn't just called Jack and the Beanstalk. I knew that there was more to the title, but I couldn't remember what it was. And I looked up Jack's Adventures, and like Jack Goes Up the Beanstalk. Jack, like I looked up everything Jack
In
and
Google?
Beanstalk related.
With Google?
Everything, yeah. I looked up Jack and the Beanstalk movie. I couldn't find it for some reason. It wasn't appearing. I don't know why. I must really suck at finding things, you know. But then I saw the poster, and I'm like, wait a minute, Beanstalk, that could be it. And I looked up the summary, and I'm like, this is the one, you know. And I'm like, hallelujah, you know, God must be praised. Beanstalk.
Some of this
I
seemed
suppose.
vaguely familiar. I think I might have seen it as a kid.
I mean, looking
Yeah.
back at some of it does seem familiar as well. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not crazy.
No.
That's a relief. Should I talk about the plot? I mean, there's not really much to say. It's just Jack and the Beanstalk, but
Yeah, go
Yeah,
for
you
it.
can.
I'll try to make it
It's
sound,
brief.
I guess.
It's brief. Of
There's
the
a little
plot.
more to it. Yeah. All right. So it's basically Jack and the Beanstalk, except with a twist. So this time it's a modern
Modern day time. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
I'll let you go.
Um,
Sorry.
Yeah. It's a modern retelling of Jack and the Beanstalk. This time well, actually wait a minute. I mean, it does basically have the same story now that I think about it. Like, okay, so basically the only difference this time is that instead of buying the beans from a bean seller like he does in the fairy tale, he they fall off a truck. So basically Jack is like a boy genius, you know. He's an inspiring inventor. So almost like a spot carrot top type of thing and chairman of the board, you know, but like in this movie though, he's more in the what do you call it, the preemptive stages. He hasn't gotten to the point where his ideas are fully realized, so mostly all he's doing is coming up with ideas on the, you know, idea number 87, idea number 22, and idea number 177,
Yeah,
you know,
talking into a
recording
little
his
Walkman.
ideas into a tape recorder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of his character quirk, you know. And well,
Oh,
and
by
so
the way,
throughout the course of the
this little,
movie there's this bully. Oh,
I'll say that like this little main character actor was pretty good too. He reminded.
yeah.
Wait, no. Go on. Go on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I agree. He actually was pretty good. He had a lot of spunk. He had a lot of charisma. You know, you could tell he was really into the character. You know, so, but the thing is though, he's a little too smart for his own good. He's got this sort of this kid who is sort of going after him, who's like a bully. However, to be fair, Jack is kind of a prick to him as well. Like, so, like in a way,
He's a
like,
smart aleck. Yeah, he's a smart
yeah,
ass.
yeah, pretty much. Like the bully who I sort of like impolitely referred to as the fat kid, but really, like, you know, he's actually more interesting than that. Like, he's not just a generic stereotypical type of kid where like the jokes
Yeah.
are supposed to be that he's fat or anything like that. He's
I
not
don't
playing
even
like that
remember
kind of
that.
character actually.
Yeah.
So what?
I liked him. He was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, actually that's what I was gonna say, is the bully character in this movie is actually pretty likable. Like, I actually would have to say I cared about him probably about as much as I did the Jack character, if not more. Not that I didn't care about the Jack character, but I still I didn't want the bully character to get messed up though, because even though he was a bully and even though he did kind of like turn into a little bit of a bad guy near the end of the movie, sort of, I still like. I didn't feel like negatively toward him, you know. So, but anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself like I always do. So, Jack is, of course,
Yeah.
his family is not doing super well financially. Oh yeah,
I'll just say again, just a little more character traits for the bully guy.
yeah,
He was like one of their first encounters was Jack, telling a story and bumps like a smoothie or something into his report, like the bully's report card. And
yeah.
he was like, "Oh, your mom's gonna be sad you won't be able to show her D's, or whatever." Like, no, straight A's. And like he actually is actually like a smart, like he's like on the honor roll. I don't know if they mention if he has like aspirations or something to be something, but he's on track to actually be a really smart kid and everything too.
Well, his mom is an English teacher,
I
and
do refer to
he,
her.
yeah, and so his mom is a teacher, which, so actually that kind of made me sort of feel for him a little bit because that's a lot of pressure, to have your mom be a teacher.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
then,
but the thing with that is I feel he was also into it. He enjoyed it as well, not just
oh yeah, well that's what I was gonna say. He liked reading. He was into books, and he was actually into like a lot of
Shakespeare.
sophisticated books too.
Where
Yeah,
he
Shakespeare,
was quoting
Macbeth.
Shakespeare through half the movie.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this kid is speaking my language. So I like that. I like the fact that he was like, he wasn't exactly supposed to be likable, but he had like positive qualities. It's like, wow, that's pretty impressive for a kids movie. So because a lot of kids movies are all about like good guys, bad guys. You got to have like characters that are just either totally good or totally bad. And this movie actually sort of worked a little bit. I mean, it still had characters that were absolutely bad and absolutely good, but it did try to work a little bit more into the gray areas a little bit. Um,
I mean,
which
not still a
it
kids
didn't do
movie.
it successfully. I'm not saying it did it successfully.
Yeah, as much as a kid
Before,
movie can, I'm assuming. Yeah.
yeah, it has a little bit more ambition than a lot of like cheap kids movies, but as for whether those ambitions are fulfilled, that's a different story. So Jack's family isn't really like super financially stable. Um, in fact, the landlord or the property owner or property management, or he might have even been the mayor of the town for all I know. I kind of missed that detail.
Yeah, he
He's
was the
just a,
mayor.
you could tell yeah, you could tell he's the bad guy because he's got a scary looking beard.
Oh no, that was a different
Um,
guy. That was I don't know, some
which guy
business
was that?
guy. There was some business guy.
Oh, okay. Um, okay. Well, some business guy shows up at some point. He's the bad guy. So, but anyway, so Jack's family's not doing super well.
The whole
But
town
in
isn't.
the whole town is kind of suffering, even though you only specifically see like what's going on with Jack's family. We are told many, many times that the town's economy is not in the greatest shape. But in one of the earliest scenes in the movie, though, Margot Kidder, years off of Man and all those other movies, shows up as this absent-minded sort of demonologist or like some kind of like something.
So who is
She's
this
the one who drops the
actress?
magic beans.
What is this
Margot
actress
Kidder.
from?
She was in the first Superman. She played Lois Lane in the original Superman, and she was also in like that Brian De Palma movie Sisters, and she's been in some other movies too.
I got serious Harry Potter vibe. I forget what the professor. His name is the one that does like the
She was like a
fortune.
Harry Potter character.
She kind of looked like
She
him,
she
and like
reminded
her
me of,
entrance was like all scrambled and bumping into shit like she does.
yeah, she was like a Harry Potter character before Harry Potter existed. Like she
Yeah,
basically just like messes stuff up. She's an example of a character who's good but flawed.
I mean,
She
and I,
is very klutzy. She's constantly making mistakes. She's socially awkward. She's yelling at the top of her lungs. She looks crazy and acts crazy. But what was I saying?
I mean, in even more to, I thought it might have even been the same actress years before, because it looked a lot like her too.
Yeah, believe it or not, it's Margot Kidder, who sadly passed away not too long ago. But but yeah, she mostly, from what I understand, like after the 80s, she mostly just did like a lot of like smaller roles and sort of more indie work and stuff. And this is sort of like along like one in many roles that she had. So she's probably the most well-known actor in this. But anyway, so eventually, after a long in this movie, after about like half an hour, because this is a really, really slow-paced kids movie, but after about half an hour, eventually, you know, because like early on in the movie, he gets the beans and they kind of leave him out or plant them or whatever, and it grows into a giant beanstalk. But nothing really much happens with the beanstalk for a while. They kind of do the James and the Giant Peach thing where they're sort of profiting off of the beanstalk a little bit because like, they don't really know what to do with it. And it's sort of an odd sort of thing that happened that doesn't really make any sense. And a lot of people show up, take pictures, blah, 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 blah. The villain, of course, being an idiot, decides that he wants the beanstalk cut down, despite the fact that it's bringing the town, plenty of really good economy. I guess you have to have the bad guy in this movie do something bad in order to get the plot moving. So, having said that, the guy orders for the beanstalk to cut. So now we have a time limit.
There is a reason why. There is a reason why. It's briefly said, like in a 30-second thing, is that he wanted just to demolish, like since it was a poverty-stricken town, he just wanted to demolish the whole thing, like set up, I don't know, like a condominiums or like a something like that.
Yeah, which you'd think that if a lot of people owed you money, the last thing you want to do is build a condominium because you're just going to end up pissing off all those people like who are struggling to pay you back. I mean, if you're in control of them or all that.
I'm not sure if it was a
stuff, I mean,
condominium.
that's to get people to start revolting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if it was a condominium or anything, but he would essentially kick everyone that lived in that town out to make money, basically, is what his plan was.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess that it was a condominium because that seems like a rich scheme, to kick everybody out in town and like get a bunch of people, the rich cronies, to the condominium off the seashore, drinking wine like pigs. I mean, there you go, villain plot 101. Yep. So,
oh yeah.
But so anyway, time is limited. Jack has to save his family, so he climbs the beanstalk. Although before climbing the beanstalk, he has to get into another tiff with the bully. And eventually the characters decide he's had enough and decides to pursue him up the beanstalk, which, that's pretty epic. I mean, he must really, really hate Jack to want to like chase him all the way up a beanstalk, so. But by the time they get up to the beanstalk, they get to the house where the requisite giant is, and this giant happens to have a family, and this giant family is obsessed with little people. That's pretty much all they talk about is little people and whether or not little people exist. These giants.
So what we're led to believe is that it's like, giants live on floating rocks in the sky. Like it's a whole neighborhood. They give a little pan out every now and then, and that they're like it's like the setting of the house is like the 50s they mention, and
yeah, like basically like sort of like your sort of typical but semi-typical domestic household where you have the mother, the father, and the daughter. You don't have any pets or anything, thank God. That would have probably complicated the plot more.
Near the end, I'm surprised. I was like, wait, why don't they have a dog? That would be a funny little gag, even if it's just for a scene, and it wouldn't necessarily. I mean, yeah, and it's like a little fairy tale thing, so it could have just been a little one scene, and like sure, maybe a plot hole. The dog would fuck them up, but
they were probably gonna put a dog in it, but then they decided to save the dog for another movie, which we'll talk about afterward. But but in this movie you got the giant played by Stuart something. I forget what his name is, but he's the guy who played Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. And I only know that because he's got the same voice and makes some of the same jokes. So you get like one guy being in 2 movies about like shrunken people doing shrunken hijinks. It's just kind of interesting,
That's
sort of
gold.
detail. Yeah,
Gold.
yeah. But he's obsessed with little people, and of course Jack, he gets a little too full of himself, and he decides, oh well, now that I'm up here, let's take pictures. Get a picture of me with the giant. It would have been a pretty cool picture, but of course, the giant spots him. Then, the next like 25 minutes of the movie, mostly just the 2 main kids trying to get away from the giant. They hide in a roach motel, which is where the infamous Odyssey or Odyssey Iliad, whatever sort of infamous discussion that I mentioned earlier in the podcast takes place. And along with that, they also step on a few like cockroaches, which I'll give the movie credit for, opting to do something other than shit jokes and booger jokes and puke jokes and piss jokes and all
They
that
do
stuff
booger
that they love
jokes.
to. Yeah, they do. Well, they do like dead bug slime jokes, which I guess if you want to amp up the Nickelodeon factor,
Something new.
you got to have a little bit of that in there. So, but and then you get an intense scene where Jack, where the bully decides that he's had enough of Jack and decides to tie him up and put him in a toaster,
Yeah, the
which
famous.
doesn't kill him.
Yeah,
It's
that
the
was fucked
famous.
up.
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
famous second act. Buddies getting in a fight because they were once they got up there, they're pretty friendly and stuff, and they had like chats about, oh, maybe I misunderstand you. You're cool, but
Yeah,
of course, the little famous second act, they're in a fight now.
yeah. Which you said a mouthful. That was messed up. Like that
I
was actually
did.
kind of like, yeah.
So I did notice, yeah, he was in it. So the main Jack was tied up in a toaster, but I did also notice that it was unplugged.
Yeah.
Yeah, like but that was kind of shocking that he decided to kind of like give him up. Just
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes,
I
that
was sort
was
of
too.
just
Yeah,
I was
definitely
sort of
for sure. For
surprised by
sure.
yeah, I was surprised by how severe a turn that took,
Instantly.
It is a full moon
Yeah,
production.
it is. You got to have a little bit of
So
edge for the faithful. So.
I'm confused. So then, Full Moon's been around that long, or I thought it might have just been they picked up the streaming rights or something.
Yeah, they've been around for since the 80s, actually, like since the late 80s, early 90s. And
I didn't know that. Wow.
this movie was a selection in their family friendly category that they decided to kind of cook up sort of after they got started with the Full Moon production. They came up with with another company called Moonbeam Productions, which released a lot of kids movies like Prehysteria, and like I think they might have put out Dragon World, and they put out whatever that one about the monkey, I Want to Keep Her, or like Can We Keep Her Mom, or whatever it was called. Like they put out like a bunch of like titles, and this Beanstalk was one of theirs, which is why I was surprised when I found out that it was a Moonbeam production, that I'd seen it already. It's like, wait a minute, like, and they used to play this on TV. Like, what's going on with that? Typically like Full Moon, Moonbeam, whatever. Like we're talking about like the cheap, low budget type of stuff. Somehow they got the money to show it on TV. Like that's pretty impressive. Good for them, I
Right.
guess.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, the bully decides to sacrifice Jack to the giant and offer him up as a reward, as like a exchange to let him go. But the giant ain't messing with that. He wants both of them. It's double or nothing with this guy.
Yeah, he was gonna
So
eat one and then cut one open.
yeah, he's gonna dissect
Yeah.
one of them, and he hadn't decided who yet. So that ends up resulting in a chase scene where Jack hides under a kitchen cloth, has a couple of close calls. One in which like it looked like he was dead. It looked like he'd gotten flattened, but
Oh,
somehow
So even before that, they made up real quickly. It was like, we have to work together, get out of here, and then I'll distract him, and Jack distracts him by chucking pepper in his nose, and there's just gets snot all over him, or at least his
it's the
back.
bully.
While he runs under the tablecloth. Yeah.
Yeah, and at one point, like it looked like the giant flattened him, but luckily Jack had managed to find a toothpick at that moment in time, and
So
and
he. So what I gathered is he hid in like a crevice because it was like a wooden table underneath a tablecloth.
okay.
He hid in a crevice when he got crushed, but it was a splinter of the wood. He said,
Oh, okay, that's it.
he was because he got caught, and he's like, splinter, ah.
Yeah, he managed to outsmart the giant, and the two of them escape. Of course, by that point in time, you got this crazy guy trying to chainsaw the beanstalk down, but that doesn't work. So the bad guys decide to just blow it instead. Yeah, and so Jack's mom and Margot Kidder decide to take down the demolition team that's about to blow up the beanstalk. That results in probably a scene in the movie actually. The Jack's mom has an encounter with this one henchman who is actually scarier than the villain. Like he actually like almost like takes her down, and at one point is like at a couple points is like overpowering her and is like giggling and laughing really evilly and maniacally. I don't know who that guy was, but he was like scary as hell. Like I give this movie extra points just because of how intimidating he was. I was surprised. I was like, what in the world is that guy doing in this movie, in this family friendly film, adding severeness.
It was wild.
Yeah, but she manages. But then I think Margot Kidder like knocks him out somehow in some goofy way, so that guy ends up being a non-threat. By that point, Jack manages to find his way down the beanstalk. The giant chases after him, and it kind of results in a little bit of a silly sort of
I'm gonna fill up my water real quick.
where Jack has to.
Continue.
Oh yeah, by all means. Jack manages to sort of outsmart this giant in a very tiny little location that looks insanely fake, like almost hilarious. Like I love the miniatures in this movie were actually like pretty cute. I was charmed by them, I must admit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked his credit card joke that he gave, where he was like, he said something like, oh, like, or they have to pay with a piece of plastic or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. And then I think in the end, Jack ends up not really like doing anything all that impressive. He ends up basically intimidating the giant back up the beanstalk.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
I was trying to remember how.
I feel like he like burned him or poked him or threw something at him. And
Oh yeah, it was in the building. He threw like the flagpole or something.
That's it.
Stuck in the giant's hand.
Yeah, he kind of pierces his hand a little bit. Kind of freaks him out a little. So he starts crying and running up the beanstalk. The giant's just going, "Woo!" And meanwhile the villain is like still trying to blow the damn thing up. But luckily they still end up managing to keep the villain from taking down the beanstalk. And actually the giant ends up being spared in this story rather than falling down the beanstalk and dying, because they do have to keep it family friendly, and the giant is kind of a goofy character, so he's likable enough, even though he did try to eat the main character, who, by the way, the bully suddenly decides he totally loves at the end of the movie. He's like, you gotta love that guy. You know, like, even though like 10 minutes before that he was gonna offer him up to the giant, he changed his mood pretty fast, and everybody decides at the end of the movie that they love Jack. They think he's an awesome guy. The giant gets all the way up the beanstalk, starts trying to, you know, convince his family that little people exist. Even though I don't feel like it would be that hard, because, you know, you could examine footprints, you could examine like a lot of various little things they did, you know, throughout the course of being there. But you know, whatever. I guess it doesn't ultimately matter. The beanstalk gets blown up through some wacky series of events that, you know, were kind of whimsical and absent-minded. And the giants, very dumb. Giants are left with no evidence of little people, but Jack and his family managed to keep their house for another month.
Yep.
And
And the bad guy gets arrested.
Yep. And there's like a little stinger at the end before the credits. There is evidence of little people, because when there was a camera, there was like a little camera found, like a tiny little camera found, and they somehow developed that film somehow. Like,
That's right.
freaking mounted it in their freaking house. The Giants did, yeah.
You're right. I totally forgot about that. So even the Giants get a happy ending. Excellent. Anyway, so that was Beanstalk.
Yeah, and I have a little, I was like, this is a little weird point before we get into our reviews of.
Yeah.
So like the Giants had a daughter, right? And like these Giants are all prosthetic and greened out. And the daughter was not a child. It was played by a little person. Which it was like made in the 90s, so I'm not sure what the term was they were using back then. So it was just a little confusing watching a like a little person refer to little people. I was just I don't know if this is politically correct or not. I don't know what to think.
I think the idea of a little person talking about little people in a movie about giants, it is a giant playing a little person talking about little people.
Yes.
Like, yeah. I mean, you could just, it's okay to still call the person a little person. I mean, like, that is the right word. So
yeah, no, I mean,
it does seem kind of redundant, but
it was more of a joke. But I wasn't sure. But like, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, I actually didn't think about that, but yeah, no, that's a good point. I guess it's fine.
That's what I'm here for.
I mean, yeah, pretty harmless movie for the most part. I'm not surprised that it was the type of movie that I saw when I was a kid, and then totally forgot about. You know, even though I didn't forget about the Odyssey references somehow, ended up like standing out in my mind. But yeah, I mean,
What's that?
it was pretty much a kids movie. Like, basically just a typical kids movie.
100% a kids movie, yeah.
Yeah. Which pretty much meant that there wasn't really a whole lot that was edgy about it. But having said that, because it was a kids movie and because they were sort of aiming for less, that also meant that they did less wrong. It was still, you know, pretty cheap, but they did about as well as they could with a low budget. And you could also tell that they knew that they were working with a low budget too, because there was sort of an air of sarcasm about it. There were, you know, a few moments here and there where like you could tell they were having a little bit of fun with it. Like the scene at the beginning where that one piece of expensive whatever goes flying in the air, and it takes about 10 minutes or 10 seconds or however long for it to even come close to reaching the ground. And Jack manages to somehow miraculously catch it without even like paying attention. Like things like that, where you could tell they were obviously trying to like be kind of silly. it's not meant to be taken seriously ultimately. So
Oh,
in a way, it's kind of review proof, because calling it bad is sort of kind of defeating the point, because it sort of knows it's bad already.
Yeah.
So I guess it ultimately depends on your tolerance for really, really cheesy kids movies. And luckily, I have a pretty high tolerance for them, because I've seen a whole lot of them, and I've seen ones that are way worse than this one. So overall, as far as being a harmless kids movie, this one was on the medium tier, I'd say. So it was better than Judy Moody. I'll put it that way.
is that a Jack and the Beanstalk movie?
It's a piece of garbage movie that shouldn't be watched by anybody.
I mean, well,
That's what I'd call it.
apples to
Like, I'd put it in
oranges.
that category. Yeah.
We're talking Jack and the Beanstalk
Exactly.
here. I mean, in that.
Yeah. Oh, as far as Jack and the Beanstalk movies, this one was. I'll put it this way: I'd rather watch this over than the Asylum. What do you call it? Jack the Giant Slayer, I think or I get the two
Yep.
confused between the Hollywood and then the Asylum ripoff.
I mean, I know the movie you're talking about. Yeah.
But I'd sooner watch this than what Asylum ripoff is. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, so I'll say about it is, I mean, I didn't really mind it. It was, typical kids movie. Whatever. Better, went on the better side, in my opinion, of kids movies, because the kids were good actors, and
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say I've seen any Jack and the Beanstalk movies, but I of course know the story.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a Jack and the Beanstalk movie to show your kids, go for this one. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, this one isn't bad. Really the one problem I have with it, ultimately, if you can even call it a problem, is that it's just kind of slow at the beginning. It just takes a really long time. But then again, like, there's a lot of kids movies that are kind of slow. Like The Goonies was really slow paced too, and a lot of other movies are slow. So really, I mean, I think
yeah.
that's more of a personal qualm on my
I
part.
mean, again, it was slow, so maybe kids might lose interest early on, but like I
Yeah.
appreciate it for the Sandlot kid. He was a little more adult humory than
Yeah.
because I think Shakespeare would fly over kids' head. He was like, Shakespeare, who's that?
Yeah.
But so like,
He does deliver the lines really funny though, so I feel like
yeah.
there's at least, and he is likable, so there's at
So I
least
mean,
that.
if you want a Jack and the Beanstalk movie to watch with your kids, this would be fine for both kids and adults.
I think so.
Spend some
It actually
quality
gets
time.
pretty entertaining once the Giants show up. Like, it's entertaining, like, in like a cheesy way, but it's still
Mhm.
like, I think once the Giants show up, it's easy to like not be bored. I guess, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah, I'll give it a 1.5.
yeah, that's fair. Do you have any thoughts about it, Zach?
Um, I didn't enjoy it that much, but like I can see the appeal for like kids and stuff. Like it's not that bad. It's
Yeah.
watchable.
Yep,
It's
same.
just
Yeah,
not my kind of movie.
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
same here.
I think that's pretty fair. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. And ultimately, I'd say, like, if you're the type of person who like wants to watch like a kids movie on their own and wants to be like amused by something, like, this probably wouldn't be the one. Like, there's better choices, like, of kids movies to watch by oneself. I mean, I'm not really the type of person that really likes to watch kids movies by themselves.
Right.
I admit I did not watch this movie by myself, so I'm sure that probably enhanced my enjoyment of it. But regardless, if I were to watch a kids movie by myself, this would not be the one I would choose. So, and I should say that I did watch the next movie all by myself, and I kind of hadn't.
And yeah, I don't watch kids movies, like besides Pixar. Yeah, I don't watch kids movies by myself. But if you're a Jack and the Beanstalk fan,
Hmm.
check it out. It's a little bit of a different take on it.
Yeah,
Modern day. What would happen if?
yeah, I would agree. I'd say, like, as far as being a Jack and the Beanstalk story or staying true to the legend, like, I'd probably give it like a 2. Maybe like a 3 if you're under the age of 8. But, personally, I'd probably just give it like a 2. So.
Yeah. Yep.
I gave it a 1, but I'll change that to 1.5, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I gave
Yeah.
it to. Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
most interesting thing for me was like the set pieces of like
Yeah.
the giant stuff with the kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. I think that the set pieces might have been like one of the highlights for me. They not only because they were amusing, but also because like they were kind of clever in their own sort of weird little ways. Like it was like the cheapness of it was sort of evident, but they did the most they could with having what was obviously a stringent budget.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. And on to the
Well,
next movie then, I guess.
yeah, which was your choice.
My choice, which was whatever the hell they called it.
Task Force 2001 or
yeah,
whatever the other
I
thing.
I came across it as, or I heard of it as Spy High, but I was what that other teen task for 20 whatever the fuck it's called.
Task Force 2001 is
Yeah.
what I keep referring to it as, but
I
I
just
think Spy High makes a little more sense.
yeah, Spy High. We'll go. I like Spy High better.
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I just came across this from something YouTube, I think.
Yeah.
Just a little video of how stupid it was, but
All right.
so
Well,
so I guess I'll go with the little overall plot is you have a high school student and his little group of friends that are recruited to I don't know, I guess for lack of a better term, spy organization to stop an evil mastermind type dude, and that's the general plot. The three main the three main teenagers are uh, a guy, the main one. I got
yeah.
serious. I got like a little bit of Ryan Reynolds vibes off him, just a little bit how he looked, a little bit how he acted and delivered lines and shit. And then the female, and the just the other sidekick guy.
Mm.
And it's so it's
Yeah.
yep. So those are our main players. There's a couple more, of course. It starts out with him chatting online, early 2000s online chat. He's like kind of like people make fun of him saying, "Oh, online girlfriend," but he's chatting with this girl who is a little confusing for the first 30 minutes of what she is. She's a game designer,
Yeah.
but she's also a college. Like she said, "Oh yeah, I just started a new job as a game designer," but it's also said that she's still in college as well. And, for most of the movie, they never meet. They're just online friends.
Yeah.
And she gives him a copy of the game she's been working on because they need some outside feedback because he's some pro gamer type shit. Whatever, yeah, okay,
Yeah. I mean,
fine.
it's the early 2000s. I technically it did exist. It's just a lot of the pro gamers were folks that were like involved in like the magazine industry and like a lot of those circles. Like there was somewhat of a like a gamer circle on the internet. It did exist, but it was like, I mean, very very like early. I mean, what year did this movie come out? Like
2000s, early 2000s, it had to have been.
2001, probably.
That would be my guess, yeah.
Yeah, maybe 2001, because it is the Task Force 2001, 2001. So,
So
yeah, no,
yeah,
that you're probably right. Yeah. So.
yep. So yeah, he gets the well, I mean, it's again shows a little bit of early uh internet days, like these. It specifically starts the download at night, and then in the morning he's like, oh yes, it's done, but I gotta go to
Yeah.
school. He has to go to, at first I thought,
Yeah.
oh, he's in college because he's, talking to his online GF through FaceTime, basically, which is
Yeah.
straight up, oh, Spy High called it. But
Pretty much. Yeah. So,
like he was talking
but
about, oh, I got a report to do, blah blah blah. I thought he was in
yeah.
college because he was, deluded that she's an online girlfriend with in college dating, but he's in high school.
It would
He's
have, yeah, it would have made sense if he had been in college, like narratively speaking. It actually
high
probably would have
school.
made the plot a little bit easier.
A little less creepy that he's
But
And
he's
another high school that looks like a bunch of 30-year-olds.
yeah.
yeah,
Again, I
that's
was
the other
like,
thing. It's like I was gonna say, I mean, because you mentioned it's creepy, but like the thing is, like everybody in this high school and her, like they all look about the same age, so it doesn't even really ultimately matter, I guess.
in that sense, yes, but it's also they both knew that
Yeah,
he's a high school student and she's in college with an actual like degree. It was just like, mm, could have worked in college just as well and be more legal.
yeah. I mean, it's usually I don't notice stuff like that in movies, but like probably only because like I don't know. Like I mean, I've known people, like I've worked with people like in high school who were dating people that were in college and things like. I mean, I guess I've seen that kind of thing in real life so
I
much
mean, I've
that like at this
seen
point
it
I
like
kind of
with,
like yeah.
I mean, yeah, I've of course seen it, and I'm fine with it when in the lower section of, like, oh, a college freshman dating,
Yeah.
senior in high school or whatever. Yeah, that's fairly normal. But it seemed like was probably near the end since she got a job programming games.
Yeah, she probably was, but this movie is generally pretty naive though in like a lot of
100%.
ways. So I
100%.
guess yeah. So I guess something like that I'm like, well,
And
I guess that's
ultimately
Spy High.
ultimately resolved in a few minutes is that, like, no, they are just friends anyway, but there were still jokes of it sprinkled
Yeah.
throughout. But anyway,
Which
yes.
like I mean, and also I guess maybe is another sort of thing. I mean, I know that when I was in high school, like most of my friends that I made on the internet were like a lot older than I was. So
I
I
mean,
don't know, maybe
it's a
that's
sign
like
of the
another
time
thing.
that, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that,
I mean, these days I think
again,
people are a lot more worried about it, but I think at that
and
time maybe
I mean,
like
they should have been worried
yeah.
about it back then is also what I'm saying. Like,
I mean, knowing what a lot of people know now,
yes, and
but
this was
at the
just a more
time
naive.
though, yeah,
I
I think
mean,
at the time, a lot of us were pretty smart when it came to like stranger danger and all that stuff. And so a lot of
yeah,
times like
100%.
yeah.
And this was just
And
a
I think
more
at the
naive take on it. Like the people making this film had no, were just dumbasses about the whole thing. And it
yeah,
speaks
like
throughout the
ultimately
entire film.
I'd even argue that we're probably giving it more thought than the director did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're wasting our lives just giving it more
but
thought than it
but
needs
I mean
to have.
yeah, and obviously and I think ultimately the reason just we're kind of elaborating is because it is something we care about, because internet safety, I mean, it is an important thing, and there are people out there who do, make mistakes, and there are people out there who, get on the internet and are up to no good and are, involved with the intent of hurting others. But I don't think we need to worry about that with this plot. Luckily. Not
Nope.
not with this one, at least.
Nope. So the next morning, he's getting ready to go to school and everything, but it's an insignificant scene. But we are introduced to the motherfucking star of this goddamn movie.
Agreed. This is if
this
Nicolas
is
Cage was the star of Deadfall, then this character is the star of this movie.
motherfucking Rocky boy. He is such a good
Yeah.
boy. He's the main character's dog. And
Yeah.
honest to God, no joke, the best actor in the film.
Yeah.
Like hands down the best actor in the film.
100%.
Like I will none of the actors are good, and like forewarning, like none of them are good.
They're
except for
horrible.
awful performances, hands down, by everybody except Rocky. And I'm like, I don't know what breed Rocky was, but he seemed like I have a border collie. I saw it's probably one of those smarter ones because it looked a little border collie-ish, a little bit of size differences. So, but I could tell that it was a Hollywood trained good dog. Is definitely one of the smarter
Oh, the
ones.
best.
Like I just got the feeling that Rocky throughout the whole movie was just like looking at these fucking idiots trying to act, and he's like, "What are you guys doing? Come on." It was just so good,
Yeah, that dog was acting circles,
right? Not even
circles around
trying.
everybody. Yeah.
Not even trying.
And the level of charisma, like
Oh
in
my
comparison,
God. How
it's
did he pull it
incredible.
off?
Yeah, he even had better screen presence than them. Like he
Yes.
even looked like a better actor than they did.
Yes, he captured the show. It was so hilarious. From the
I mean,
moment
yeah.
he because like the main character was walking out to go to school but he forgot his term paper. But Rocky shows up, "Hey, dumbass, you fucking forgot this, you idiot." Just like, oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah, no, this is like one of the best like dog. Well, not one of the best, but like this was an example of like a movie, kind of like Bad Moon, where the dog steals the show. In Bad Moon, it was a beautiful, beautiful German Shepherd. Thor, who single-handedly, won my heart. And he's the one thing I remember about that movie. I don't even give a crap what the rest of it was like about werewolves or something. But that dog in that movie was like the single best thing about it. And he was the one reason to see it. This movie, more or less the same kind of thing, I would say. Like that dog was.
Yeah, I mean, like he's going to school, right? And he's getting on his bike, and Rocky follows him out. They have a full-on fucking conversation. Like, not like, "Oh, good boy, I know, I'll be back, blah, blah, blah." He's like talking about, "I know, I'll do it when I get home," type shit. Like,
Yeah.
and then the dad was like, "Murph, Murph." And like, he's
Yeah.
like, no, shut up. I know. And it's like, Rocky was treating
Yeah.
him like a goddamn idiot.
Rocky was keeping him on task. He was the smartest character in the whole movie, which isn't saying
100%.
a lot.
So yeah, they get back to school. I mean, and again, it goes to like, this is like you mentioned, it was on a Christian streaming service as well, and you could totally tell, like, they called one of the teachers Mr. Butthead. God damn it.
You could tell this was a Christian movie because it was very, very wholesome. And whenever there was an opportunity or moment where things would get like, maybe like start wandering into troubling area, the film manages to just like swerve it and go somewhere else, like early on in the movie, like there's like, you think that there's going to be like some kind of like espionage plot, but it ends up actually not even being that. But go on.
I mean, I mean, yes, definitely
In a
Christian,
way.
because it was just toned down, like, and just fairly lame, excuse me, fairly lame, like, dialogue. But
Yes.
it didn't there was no religion talk in it at all, so that was
Oh,
fine.
yeah, and just to like, and I'm not like criticizing like Christianity when I say, I'm just saying like when it comes to a lot of, I'm just saying like when it comes to a lot of Christian themed movies though, or like a lot of faith-based themed films, you can usually tell like the way the characters in a lot of these movies talk, they speak in a little bit more of a specific way to avoid sort of like negative connotations and like They avoid cuss words, and they like try to sort of like keep their phrases a little bit more like concise and stuff like that. And so, which is partially the reason why this movie sort of like why it sort of had a plot, but at the same time didn't. You know, like the plot of this movie could probably be like summarized really simply, but the film decides to actually kind of like draw it out, as much as it can. And yeah, you can talk about why, or you can go on about why. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I keep interrupting.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So he gets to school, bragging about the new game he got with his college girl.
Mm.
And
When you put it that way. But anyway, yeah.
he's even like embellishing that he's like, I don't know, I think it may have been a throw, so I'm assuming there's things that may have been like a throwaway thing. Is, oh, what college are you going to? He's like, oh, I don't think I'm going. I already got a consulting job lined up as the video game consultant that his online girlfriend got him.
Yeah.
And
is,
so he invites them back to his house to check it out, and so they try it, but they can't get past the first level because his computer is shit. So he
yeah, they kind of went out of their way to avoid saying that he has a bad computer. They kind of say,
Yeah.
"Oh, I don't have enough data. Oh, my micro blast processor just handle the information,
Yeah,
and this is an
it's such a
overwhelming program, and there's a lot going on, and I can't quite handle it. I'm sorry."
yeah,
He
my
could have just
computer.
said, "Oh, my technology sucks," but
Yeah, my computer can't handle it. But so
yeah,
he requests
y'all
again
can't
help.
handle this shit. Yeah.
He requests the aid of his online girlfriend, and we need a mainframe. They fucking use that goddamn stupid term, mainframe. Can you connect us to a mainframe? That wouldn't work in the
Yeah,
2000s.
yeah,
It's not. It's like
pretty much. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
equivalent of it is just happening now these days, of like streaming gaming services where you just have a streaming machine where the games are being played off of supercomputers fucking Amazon owns, and
Yeah, basically,
so they're
basically.
basically trying to like not even correctly at all explain that in early 2000s fucking dumb shit. But anyway, she
Yeah.
hooks him up because she's his online girlfriend.
She knows how to do everything.
She hooks him up through a top secret government mainframe just so he could play a video game. Yeah, go ahead, have fun. You're on this top secret government mainframe. Have fun. And then they don't even play the video game at all throughout it. It was like once that was connected, like the girl of the group, who was like a little nothing was given to her at all until like it was the stupidest fucking thing. I have a little let me see, where did I put this? A little the quote of the stupidest fucking thing.
There were a lot of dumb quotes in the movie. Like most of the film was like people saying like stuff that was obvious. Like there was like one line where somebody said like I don't remember any of the specific lines, but like one character said something like, "Oh, you're something something something," and then somebody said, "Oh, does that mean something something something?" And then another character said, "That's right." I don't remember what the quote was, but it's lines like that,
Yeah.
like screenwriting 101, like the kind of lines you don't want to write for a movie, because it's just nothing but exposition, basically. But oh
Yeah.
well.
So like so they connected it, and this was this like the female, everyone's shitty. The female actress, I will recreate. I have it because I wrote it down just because it was so fucking dumb. It was suddenly she takes reins. It was let's take this thing for a ride. Let me show you what a woman can do. Andrew, crank the music. word for word verbatim, no emotion to it. Out of nowhere, it was like, oh, okay, like
Yeah.
you got the main character, computer nerd guy, getting shown up by his friend randomly.
I remember that line. Yeah,
And
when
then
because like he couldn't figure out what the heck he was doing, and then she sits down in his chair and's like, "Here, let me show you how a woman does it."
and it wasn't them playing a game. A goddamn light show fucking started blasting out their house.
Yeah.
What the fuck
It's
was
like,
that?
what kind of a game is this? It's not very
I don't.
impressive.
Yeah. So that was so dumb. I hated that fucking scene so much.
And it only gets dumber from here.
Hmm. So eventually, it's leaked out that because again, I was in the beginning. They show the online girlfriend programming the video game. But the fucking place where she was programming at, it looked like a goddamn like nuclear silo laboratory type shit. I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, again, 2001 technology ignorance, but also most programmers are just in cubicles. Like, what the
Well,
fuck?
that's the thing. Like, I mean, one word to the wise, like, sort of like, kind of to keep in mind. If you're going to make a movie that's in like a world where people are like making video games or whatever, like, it's not, they don't just wear lab coats.
Mhm.
Like, there's more behind an operation like that rather than just like Office Space 101 where like people are just kind of like segregated or whatever, which although to be fair, even today people don't like haven't been able to get that right,
I mean,
like
and
so
for speaking for this movie, and for what it's worth as well, is she
mm,
technically wasn't with a game program. The game
yeah,
turned out to be a weapon.
that's true. Yeah, I guess that's a good point that I
That's
didn't
all. Like,
make.
how? I don't know. It's just a weapon.
Yeah,
So it
which
makes a
yeah,
little bit more sense for the setting she was programming in half, like 3/4 of the way through the movie. It's like, oh, okay, well, that makes
mm,
sense why she was fucking programming in front of a nuclear reactor.
yeah. But at that point in the movie, they're just throwing stuff at the plot, like that. Just you got that whole thing with the faith.
Yep.
Okay, anyway.
So she's programming a weapon. She warns them. Blah 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 blah. It turns
Yeah,
out that she's not even. So this is a lady of many codes. What the fuck this term is? I don't know.
many aliases
uh,
or
there's.
identities,
I mean, yes, all of that.
personas,
But there's like one of those, I don't know, terms like
persona.
it's it's no.
Okay.
An
Anyway, go on.
Yeah, she is also a secret agent working for the government as well, infiltrating that place. So she's a creepy fucking groomer for a high school kid who is a computer programmer who is going to college, but she's also a secret agent as well. The
Mm,
like the government contracts them to be secret agents because she gets kidnapped and they need their help uh, because, and this is the reason why, no one would believe I would use kids. That was the reason. And I just
this
like I wrote underneath it, yeah, because you fucking shouldn't use kids in a
no
goddamn
at
secret organ, like in a plot to save the world from destruction. You don't use kids.
well at this point it would almost it would almost make more sense if she were the villain.
That would have been a good movie, though.
That's true. Yeah, but that's the way I would have done it. Probably I would have just been like, this person's it's pretty suspicious, and then at the end have that be the twist, and it's like, well, of course, this is why you don't talk to strangers over the internet. So,
Yep. So
because then they might get you involved in a spy espionage thriller. So,
yep. So they go through like like they get recruited. They do a
mhm.
training. It's not a montage because there's no music or anything, but it's like a training sequence.
Yeah,
Uh,
very short training
very
sequence.
short. and they suck. And again,
Yeah.
the main guy gets his ass kicked by his lady friend because she's a purple belt, and he apparently doesn't know that different belts mean different colors, and she was like, "Don't you think purple looks better than white?" when she kicks his ass. Dumb as fuck. And by the end, the CI dude is, "You guys fucking suck. You need like 6 more months of training, but we don't have time. Let's get
Yeah.
Rocky in here. He'll
gotta
help
get
us
started.
out." Rocky's all we need anyway. Fuck it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and it's all we need. Like, we, the audience,
Right?
that's all we need is the dog to go and like do the spy mission, because like these characters are just not interesting.
Rocky
You
can
know,
take down that whole organization single-handedly or single-podly.
pretty much. Yeah. Oh, and I gotta admit, I love how the recruiter fella was like building up how dangerous this mission was, and how like how bad how poor, how low their chances were. It ends up actually kind of being like pretty simple, like the way they actually end up pursuing the operation. It was kind of like a lot of build up to
Jack
not a
shit.
whole lot else that they really had to do. You got that one scene that the one scene in particular that I was really kind of puzzled by was the whole pinball thing, where they had to get the guy's key.
Oh,
But
I'll get to that. Yeah.
oh yeah,
I'll get to
sorry.
that. That's
Yeah.
so. All right. So, I don't, there's a nice little Rocky scene, of course. Like, I gotta mention the Rocky scene is, I don't know exactly what they were doing, but there was like some kind of, they're trying to do a swap of some sort, get
Yeah.
some type of intel from somebody. But of course, the fucking kids fuck up as goddamn usual, and Rocky just
Yeah.
swoops in out of nowhere, grabs the fucking intel briefcase and books it. And so again, Rocky saves the day from the dumbass kids mess up. Like,
Yeah.
again, Rocky MVP. Just had to throw that scene out in there. Like,
Yes. Well, I mean,
Rocky, man,
because like again, it's like the most interesting that has happened at this point in the movie is what the dog's doing, and then like, and at this point, it's like, yeah, the dog may as well be the main character, because yeah, pretty much everybody else just is constantly making the exact same mistakes, and none of them are particularly smart. They all kind of end up sort of succeeding more out of luck than anything else. They only like occasionally end up like really succeeding. Mostly everything else, at least up until the point where they're actually going on the mission, they just come across as pretty uncommon.
yeah. So I'll get to the mission then. It's like, yeah, they're going to rescue the princess, the online stalker girlfriend lady.
Yeah.
They,
Yeah, the pervert. They're gonna rescue
so
the pervert.
so it's like an Ocean 11 type thing without like the casino robbing. It's more like, I guess, more like Mission Impossible. I mean, strike that. I don't want to. I don't want to get into the best scene ever, but it's more, so it's like kind of like, oh yeah, everybody has their role. They have gadgets and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. They all have their own sort of generic character traits and
So yeah,
characteristics.
they're they're going through the plan, and like there's like a part where, there's a trip sensor room where anything over 50 pounds will trip the wires. And like, they look to the girl and she's like, "No, not me, fuck you." But and then of course Rocky speaks up. He's like, "Yo, idiots, I'm over here."
Yeah, which they should have. Yeah, that was the obvious choice from the get-go. Let's face
"Yo,
it.
idiots, I got this, you dumb motherfuckers."
Yeah, he practically volunteers to do that.
Yeah. and he's equipped too with some spy gear and shit. But anyway, yeah, they start the Ocean's 11 break-in. And I'm just like half my fucking notes are like, yeah, Rocky, my boy, Rocky.
I know, because every time this movie starts sucking, which it did a lot, like there were a lot of points in this movie where it's like, oh my god, like I may as well be getting a lobotomy, you know. But then the dog comes in and saves the scene, you know, like the dog ends up saving like a good, like he doesn't save the entire movie, but he saves like pretty much all the scenes that he's in or all the scenes that he's involved with. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So for breaking in, there's a a typical teenage 2090s skateboard scene on the way there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was
Awesome.
also one early in the movies, a BMX scene.
Mm.
And then they get to the infiltration, which is so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like you can clearly tell they're doing a Mission Impossible thing with Rocky being Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
He's
Except
like,
Rocky was better than Tom Cruise.
so much better, so much more charisma than Tom Cruise. They they lured him in with like, through the vents. They were in the vents. They lowered him in, and he's, did his business. Not that kind of business, but he, he he did what he had to do. He,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't fucking remember what he did, but he did it. Okay.
Well, whatever he did, he didn't get spotted. And even though there was a point where people actually did come in, and he was right there.
That was so. Oh yeah, okay, that was so fucking stupid too. I was like, he lowered him down, no fucking problem. But once he was trying to, raise Rocky back into the roofs, he was like struggling to hold on to him. He's a 50-pound dog. I can't. I mean, my dog's 50 pounds. I grab her, hold her, hug her, snuggle her. No problem. 50 pounds isn't nothing for a dog for sure. And like, he was legit. It was like, oh, he's losing grip. It's falling down. It like Rocky licks the face of the bad guy, but then gets immediately tugged up, and the bad guy's like, what? Huh? What was that? Like, Jesus Christ.
Good imitation. Good imitation.
And then I like how they they fucking, again, I'm just going off on Rocky because he's the fucking man.
Because he does everything.
Yeah, they have like hit, not Jack. Thinking of the other movie, what the main character,
The Beanstalk.
the main character fucking hooks him up. They're in the shaft. He hooks him up to a skateboard, and Rocky pulls him through like a bobsled.
The task force kid.
Like, again, why are you here? Just let Rocky do everything. Come on, you're just dead weight, man.
Yeah. At that point in the movie, the actors are actually starting to become a distraction.
100%.
It's like, okay, yeah, like if this movie could use less plot, like that'd be great. Let's just kind of like maybe like just skip to the highlights. Let's just skip to the stuff we want to see, which is just the dog. I mean, there's nothing else that was interesting.
I mean, come
ultimately.
on, like literally, if they rebranded this movie as a secret agent dog doing this shit, and it has to be that dog. That dog was transformative.
Yes.
I've seen, dogs acting like Air Buds and shit. Like, I mean, this could be an Air Bud spin-off. I mean, the dog, of course, could perform tricks and stuff, like amazingly, Air Buds, but like this dog commanded the room when he was in it. He like had the facial expressions. He was acting. That dog was acting. Air Bud, doing tricks. This dog was acting.
Air Bud, he's just a dog that plays basketball.
Right? This is a goddamn secret agent motherfucker.
If they had taken this movie and retitled it, Rocky Spy Espionage Hound, and focus the movie on him.
Cut out the people. Just be like, this is the dog's owner. Like, yeah, maybe they're involved tangentially because they're the owner.
But But if they had just re-edited the movie around the dog and took out like 45 minutes of bullshit, this movie would have been a 5 out of 5 for me instantly.
Oh,
This would have been the best
fuck
movie
yeah.
on the show.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
goddamn hell yeah.
Yeah.
Would even to be
Yeah.
deserved to be on this show.
Yeah, this is a rare example of a movie in which, like, I want less actors on the screen. I want less of all this stuff. I want more of the dog. You know, like I don't even want any more plot. You know,
Right.
at this point,
It's
because I
goddamn
don't even really care ultimately how it ends.
fucking lightning in a bottle. I swear to God, like,
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. You know, they got one thing right and they got it dead right.
right.
So.
I mean, if they somehow like had the like looked through like the reels and shit before they were, you know, finishing up editing and whatnot, if they had the foresight of like, wait a second, we should do some reshoots with this dog. Let's make it a spy dog movie. I'm sure it would have
Boom.
done fucking gangbusters, especially with kids and shit.
Yeah, I would say
yeah.
Just especially because of the dog again, Rocky, and over it would have done just great. I think in general,
Yeah, I agree.
not just with kids, just because that dog was amazing.
Yeah, the dog alone is what makes this a great like that.
This
Well,
is not a
the
great
dog alone is what
movie.
would
Shut up,
have
this is not
made
a great.
this.
Yeah.
It's what would have made this. But unfortunately, you have a lot of other bullshit. Which did you want to talk about the pinball scene?
Yes. Okay. So part of the Ocean's 11 and they were doing was they had to get keys off of the main science. Yeah, there's the main scientist bad guy, fucking nerd looking dude. They had to steal
Yeah.
his. They they had to steal a key to get to her or whatever, and they did espionage. They scoped out
Yeah.
his usual daily habits, and he plays at every day at 3 p.m. He plays pinball, the same pinball machine every day, and
Yeah.
so one thing leads to another. The girl's a distraction, uh, and his other sidekick is inside the pinball machine. Is that what I?
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what we're going with? He was inside the pin. Because we get
It's
clear
all we
shots.
got.
We get
It's all we got.
absolutely clear shots of the pinball machine with nothing looking amiss. It looks like a pinball machine, a functioning pinball machine, but a guy was stuffed inside of it fully. How would somebody like work it fits what?
The whole time I was watching that scene, I couldn't even figure out what I was looking at. I was really like puzzled and like
I mean,
just
I wasn't necessarily puzzled because I was paying fairly close attention to this one because it was the one I chose. So I was trying to get it down, but like I was like, this is fucking dumb. This wouldn't work. And I noticed they only shot his like torso, his like torso up face, and he was like, it was like a real close up shot because if you're lying down in a pinball machine, the lower half of your body is just gonna be sticking out the bottom. So like unless you're a contortionist, you're not gonna fit in a regular pinball machine. And that's
well,
not
I mean,
even including the actual workings and innards of a pinball machine. So
well, that's
it's
the
like, what
thing.
the fuck?
That's the thing that I was puzzled by. It's like the entire time I was watching, the only thing I could think was there has to be an easier way to get the keys than this. Like,
Yes, of course. Duh.
yeah,
It's just I think a gag of
I
I don't
guess.
I mean they
And
could
the bad guy, like
I
he
mean
was like,
again
"Oh,
it's just a case of us overthinking something real fucking stupid.
yeah." That they did. The thing is, like, they didn't put any thought into this movie and into the plot and into this, like, the sequences or anything like that. But the thing is, like, even and I understand that they were trying to make a kids movie, but like, you got to put like at least a little bit of thought into it though, because it like a scene like this can like the logic of it can fall apart almost immediately if the idea itself doesn't make any sense. I mean,
I
you know,
think the thing is though, I think it was just a gag, assumingly.
I guess so, but it
Yeah.
seemed sort of like a long way to go for a gag, like to actually have it be like a basically an action plot sequence. But
Uh,
oh well.
I mean, like,
It's a kids movie, so I guess I shouldn't really.
but anyway, yeah, he like the contrived thing is that he got his key, like, because he wears the key around his neck, that little trope. But
Hmm.
he's some like they push him into the pinball machine and he's like stuck by the key. He's like, "Oh, I'm stuck," but it's the dude inside it, like sticking it in a machine, copying the key or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the fucking dumbass pinball machine. I'm like, what the?
yeah, and he walks away. He's like, "I got the highest score," or
Yeah,
whatever. It's
no,
some dumb
yeah,
thing.
the like the distraction was that she butts in front of him. He's like, "Oh, I'm here first," but he's like, "Oh, I have all. You see the high scores? All mine." Okay, buddy.
Great.
And the guy came out of the restaurant. It's like, I'm gonna name a sandwich after you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that it was just the strange. It was so. That's why because I kind of, while I was watching, I was just sort of like recording, and that's why I said that because I was just so confused and puzzled when I was watching. I was like, all right, it's this, it's Spy High.
Spy High. I mean, yeah. So I mean, they get the key. They rescue the girl.
Yeah,
It wasn't any more.
there is a close call with the dog.
Oh, well, that's at the end. I will get to that.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Spoilers.
Oh yeah, whoops.
But like, so they get the key. They rescue, like, and I guess they stop the plot somehow. I forget. Because honestly,
I mean,
once the Mission Impossible Rocky thing, I just kind of stopped paying attention to the rest of it.
well, one of the characters gets this weird like
Yeah.
type of thing on their face.
Yeah, I'll go over that for a minute too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's of course gadgets, doing like because of it's. I mean, I refer to it as Ocean's 11, but it was more like it did have spy stuff, like Spy
Yeah.
High, but I guess Teen Task Force was a little more apt because they weren't fully spy like, but they had a bunch of gadgets like his sidekick also I don't future tech man like he
Yeah.
he had a voice modulator, and at first I just thought he was wearing like again Mission Impossible mask.
Yeah.
but no it was not that. Like it was some
Yeah.
high tech fucking mask that um like during like it would just I don't know how the hell it was made. If I don't think it was a hologram because during many times during it it would fuck up. Like
Yeah, it malfunctioned a
it
couple
was
times.
malfunctioning a bunch, and it looked like his face was like turning into a blob of like Play-Doh and like just molding and melting. It was like CG shit storm.
Look like Animorphs.
Yeah, and it was just like
It did look like Animorphs, where their faces morph into the animals or whatever, and then
yes,
back into the humans.
exactly. Yep. So I was just like, oh, so I guess this is not just a mask. This is just some stupid shit. Okay. And again, so again, it just leads back to like, yeah, that is a fault with the dumbass group of teens. They fucked up again. And I'm assuming Rocky, I forget exactly because I was just blown away by Rocky, but like they fuck up, but save the day eventually,
Yeah, life or death mission. They keep saying again and again, and yet nobody's dying.
Yeah. Let's see. Any other little cyber? I was going over the gadgets I could find. No, not really any cool more gadgets that I can think
Not
of.
really much to. Yeah, pretty pretty vanilla spy thriller for the most part. Like
Yeah.
once
So
once somebody made a mistake, somebody corrected it. So
Rocky corrected it.
yeah, yeah. By somebody, I mean Rocky.
And I don't know. It ends in a climactic, not climactic. No, shut up. It ends in a it ends in a scene where I guess at the end, I don't know. Is there a gunfight? I don't fucking remember.
Well,
Rocky gets shot.
Rocky,
Like gets shot, which
which was
I'm
the
like,
most suspenseful scene in the
no.
whole movie.
Yeah.
I mean, even though we already knew he probably wasn't gonna die, like it was still kind of like, ooh,
I wasn't
maybe
like
they'll do something edgy.
I wasn't because of the the family vibes. I was like no, and
Yeah,
and to get I mean I guess it's a little bit hard to pinpoint my feelings for. I mean I thought it was just dumb, but if Rocky did die, I swear to God, I would have chucked my fucking computer screen out the goddamn window.
yeah,
Like
it would have killed the movie.
it would have. Ooh, ooh.
Yeah, that would have been the worst way they could have possibly ended this.
That would have made
So I'm glad that they didn't mess it up.
Like I mean, it would have shot down to the worst movie ever made ever in like not necessarily like in the eyes of the world, but in my scope of shitty ass fucking bad movies. It would have, if he died, which I knew he wasn't going to. It would have been the worst. Yeah, no.
Yeah, this would have been worse in your mind than probably the Ice Cream Man. Like you
Yes!
probably would have hated this movie even
Duh.
more than that if they'd killed Rocky. So.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm like I love dogs, of course, and it's not like like it's just like it's sad a dog died, kind of thing. It's like Rocky, the superstar.
Yeah, who doesn't deserve to die?
I mean,
Uh,
you barely call him a dog. I mean, he's a dog, but like he's more than.
pretty much.
And the gross
dogs are
like, and then just there's like the gross cry acting, like of course. Ooh, ooh. Like, fuck you.
yeah, which it's like you can't be this.
Woof, woof, I'm alive. I
And
got
I'm
a
like,
bulletproof vest on.
yeah, and it starts barking, and it's like, oh yeah, of course. It's yeah, and in fact, they even mentioned something about the dog wearing bulletproof early on. So like, it wasn't even a twist, really. Like they kind of already spoiled it.
I
Like,
don't think they said bulletproof, but they gave him a vest, like a secret agent.
oh, that's right.
They didn't
Yeah.
necessarily mention at that point because they were like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, we got all our trinkets. Looks like Rocky's out." Ha ha ha.
Yeah,
Trying to give Rocky shit. And then he's just like, "No, haha, just
yeah.
JK, here's your vest."
Yeah, which at that point in the movie, it's like, oh, let's just give you a cute little vest, because you're a
Right.
cute dog, and
Still patronizing
you're
the
like going
goddamn
on a
star, that
yeah.
motherfuckers.
They're acting like the dog is just some kind of second class, like whatever the hell, like
There to
you
keep him
know.
company. Yeah, right. You dumb
Yeah.
motherfuckers.
Oh, you're just the dog. You're just here to you're just our mascot. You don't actually do anything,
Right.
Like that's basically the attitude that they had during this, like for Rocky, these characters had, throughout this movie, which didn't exactly make them, any more likable,
Yep. And they ended with anyone want to go play Mine Chaser, which is the video game. Not. They did a little
Suckers.
They did a nod joke right at the end. Is like the fucking
Yeah.
just show up. Just give Rocky the final fucking scene. Come on.
Yeah. Just have him bark.
Yeah.
Good enough. The worst thing they could have done is ended it with a freeze frame of them all high-fiving each other at the same time. That would have been like the one thing that would have put this movie over the edge for me, like as far as being a piece of garbage. Like,
But what if it
I
was
would've been like,
Rocky
okay.
doing a high five?
Oh yeah.
5 out of 5.
So yeah, that is Spy High.
Not good.
No. No.
No.
Anyway, but I don't know. I mean, do you have any thoughts on it, Zach? Or
I mean, I'll just before. Oh no, you actually no, you tell your guys' thoughts or overall thoughts. Yeah.
I thought it was trash, except for Rocky, obviously.
Yeah.
That's literally what I wrote in my letterbox little review.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
I wrote, you're watching a bad movie when the dog is the best actor.
Yeah.
Spot Spot the
Yeah.
fuck on. Yeah.
I think pretty much anybody who sees this movie will agree that the dog was good. You know, so
Yeah,
and
I gave it one star just for Rocky.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
That's
She's
I.
doing
I
Rocky
mean,
dirty there, man.
I,
the one star was for Rocky.
yeah,
Otherwise, you would have given it nothing.
yeah, probably.
You're taking my jokes, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I don't know. What would you give it? I mean,
No,
it's Rocky.
you give yours first. I got a little
Oh,
preamble. Not a little preamble, but a couple little. Just go on. Yeah.
well, I'd have to think about it because, the dog was pretty cool, but the dog enough to save the movie. And um, I will say that the dog was definitely like the highlight of the movie. It kind of sucks when the dog is like the sole highlight, though. Like if it's the one thing the movie's got going for it, like I don't know. I was amused by it. There were a few parts that I like chuckled at because it was so stupid and like so dumb that I think as a comedy it works as like a so bad it's good kind of thing. Um, I don't know. I'd feel bad giving it like more than one, to be honest, because like even though the dog was amazing, the dog was like the one thing the movie had going for it.
Yeah.
Kind of like
The
how,
dog.
kind of like
The
how with
dog.
ice
How
cream.
dare you disrespect him by calling him the dog?
Okay, Rocky.
Rocky.
All right.
Twister. His name is Twister.
Twisted the dog. I give
Twister
him
the
5 stars.
actor.
5 stars as an actor.
Yes.
Twister. Yeah. Twister deserves all the praise in the world. He's up there with Thor in Bad Moon as far as being really awesome dog actors.
He is
Finest
up,
finest
he,
ever.
he
Yeah.
is up there with Daniel Day-Lewis as an actor.
Okay. All right. I was gonna say maybe Uggy from The Artist, but okay, Daniel Day-Lewis. I mean, although I would hate to see the dog punish his vocal cords on the level that Daniel Day-Lewis does. But having said that, I'd say he's worthy of the Daniel Day-Lewis equivalent as a dog.
No, as an actor. As an actor.
All right, as an actor, he was pretty top notch.
All right, I'll get to my review then.
He
With a
deserves more than a 1-star movie, in my opinion. He deserves so.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Okay, first preface off is this is a shit movie, 100%. Like zero
yeah.
0 stars because there are things that infuriated me. Like that's not my final, but 0 stars as a movie because there are just things that infuriate me about this type where it's all this dumbass like techno jargon that they're not even trying. It's you could tell it's people not even in suits because it's so like Christiany. Not trying to say it's Christiany. It's like so watered down. It's like
Christian movie E,
Christian
because
movie
Christian
E.
movies tend to be watered down.
Mm-hmm. That they're just out of touch. And again, there's tiny leeway that it's early 2000s. The tech isn't really even there. People are just fucking guessing. But it's still stupid as fuck that like a light show just starts happening at where the fuck were the lights coming from? They're like that kind of shit. Like I hate it. I hate it when these films say we gotta get into the mainframe. The mainframe doesn't mean shit in
Yeah.
actual, not even like actual
Yeah.
like movies technical jargon. It's like even movies that do decently well of see like believable technical jargon that is
Yeah.
passable. If you use the word fucking mainframe, I'll punch you in the goddamn nose.
What's
Oh,
worse,
man.
that or Hack the Planet?
I mean, hack the planet is a good little quote just for like the meme type. Like, I mean, it's just silly and it's dumb, but I like like in Blizzard's Overwatch, there's like a hacker character, and like their characters have a bunch of like 30, 40 taunts, and one of her taunts is just like hack the planet. Hack. So it's
That's
just
funny.
it's definitely an homage to hackers, and like it's so
Yeah.
funny too that that character has invisible, so you can like what something people do just to grief. Like what I like to do is just go behind them and just spam hack the planet. And they, since you're invisible, they don't know where it's coming from, but they hear you say it right next to them.
Yeah.
So little tangent there anyway, but
That's
like
all right.
fuck the
It's good.
fuck the mainframe, fuck movies that just say mainframe at any point from this point on. I mean, so yeah,
Mind if I'm watching a movie and somebody says mainframe, that automatically means the movie ain't gonna get 5 stars from Nick.
no. So yeah, 0 stars in general of, but that's not what I will. Again, not what I'm giving it. It's, and then again, I will go on record saying, um, Twister, he deserves the 2020 Oscar for Best Actor.
Oh.
I mean, we don't have much of a choice, during not many movies coming out during this year.
Yeah.
Give it to that motherfucker. He deserves it. Leo DiCaprio, and he I don't know if he's, passed or not, posthumously, but like he deserved Best Actor 2020. Come on. I know it was made in the 90s, but just give it to him.
I could get behind that. I'd even be willing to. I think I'm going to readjust my score. Actually, I'm gonna readjust to a 2, because as stupid and horrible as this movie was, I was still entertained by it, and I didn't feel uncomfortably embarrassed for watching it like I did with Hackers. Because now that you've reminded me that that movie exists, I got to give this more. Like, I got to give this movie a little bit more credit. But I do agree with you that the mainstream thing, or the mainframe thing, that trope, it needs to die. Just blow them all up with fucking remote minds, and move on.
I mean, I was fairly bored with it, I will say.
Yeah.
But other than that, my score.
I was bored with it until the dog showed up.
I mean, yeah, of course, yes.
Yeah.
But the actual movie I was bored with too. But
Yeah.
I am giving this movie a 3 for Rocky alone. He gets 3 stars in the just a 5-star actor, 3-star for this shit movie. The movie itself, 0.
I'd have to
Calculate
say
how
that's,
that you will.
I'd have to say that's pretty fair. I think we can go with it. I think we can accept that. So 3 stars for Spy High from Nick, 2 from me, and 1 from Zach.
Homestead. Yeah.
All right, cool. So, having said that, that concludes this episode, it sounds like. So next week, or next time, we're going to be talking about Christmas movies, because it'll be roughly around the holiday season.
Yeah.
So have you guys already picked out your choices, or should I go first?
You can go first if you want.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've kind of mentioned this on the show before, but I've been meaning to pick this one because I didn't pick it last Christmas. I'm going to pick Christmas Evil, mainly because I want Nick to watch it, because I feel like that's going to inspire an interesting conversation. So, and
okay.
I feel like last year we had an interesting Christmas conversation talking about Christmas Story 2 and rare exports. And I think I'd like to see if we can do that again. So I'm gonna choose Christmas Evil. So AKA You'd Better Watch Out.
Oh, another fucking 2-title film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one picked out then. It is called You may have even seen it. Santa's Sleigh.
Okay, the one with Goldberg.
I have no idea.
I've heard of it.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of it too.
Yeah. All right, cool. Santa's sleigh, like as in like it's the one. Okay, so it's the one where instead of like sleigh ride sleigh, it's like let's slay the dragon sleigh,
Yes,
right?
the title word sleigh is spelled SLAY. 2000.
Perfect.
Nice.
Did
Okay.
you see this one, Zach?
I haven't seen it yet, no.
Okay. All right. Cool.
All right. And mine is going to be Dial Code Santa Claus.
Dial Code Santa Claus.
It's a French movie that apparently is
Oh.
it's apparently the inspiration for Home Alone.
Ah,
What?
splendid! I can't wait.
Yeah.
I am
All right.
intrigued. I am intrigued.
Yeah, like now I can't even imagine what that could be. Like I'm definitely stoked for that one. Dial code.
Dial
Dial
Code Santa
for
Claus.
Santa. Dial code Santa Claus. Okay.
Wait.
I've never heard of it, but I'll definitely.
Is Santa Claus the subtitle or the second title?
I think that's the full title. Dial Code Santa Claus.
Dial code Santa Claus.
Yeah. There is a
Oh.
second title.
Okay.
Oh,
There is. Oh, what's the
There
second
is a
title?
I don't remember.
Is it in
Is it
French?
like some kind of like generic.
There's a French title.
Like,
There's Dial Code Santa
Okay.
Claus, and then there's another one. It has like numbers in it. It's weird.
that is weird. Like 067 Santa Claus or something like that, like a phone number.
I think so.
I don't know. All right. So Christmas Evil, Santa's Sleigh, and
Oh, okay. I
Dial
got
Code.
it.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the French title is 3615 Code Pierre Noël is the French one.
All right, that makes sense.
It's also known as Deadly Games and also known as Dial Code Santa Claus.
Okay.
Oh, and two more.
Well,
Game Over and Hide and Freak.
Wait, what was the last one?
Hide and Freak.
Okay. Oh, nice. All right. So, Deadly. I don't think I've heard of any of those titles, so this is going to be a new one for me. Santa's Sleigh I've heard of, and Christmas Evil I love and I've seen. So, I'm kind of cheating with that one, but oh well. Anyway, regardless, it sounds like all three of these movies are about Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, maybe it'll be another family-friendly episode.
Maybe.
I mean, movie-wise, I don't know about our our mouth-wise.
Yeah, well, oh well. It's just how enthusiastic we get. So.
Right.
I guess until next time, peace and have a good night. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Later.
Have a good one.